Check.
Really? Okay, I guess we're on now, Sherry. I'll see you. I'll see you on here, I guess. Okay, bye. All right, there, I'm muted. Isn't it supposed? Did I hit mute or not? Oh, you have to.
Okay, good. Well, the count 17 now, I
interview earlier with Jesse, and she was first class.
All right.
Excuse me. Damn coronavirus.
Maybe I should move. That just rattled the whole room.
I know. I'd love to do that.
Move up on there.
It would be allergies though. All right.
Right, 1 o'clock. Get rocking and rolling. Let's see who we got on here.
James Neal.
We got James. All right, good. People in here. Awesome. All right, guys, we get started in just 2 minutes, real quick. Make sure everybody's good. How we doing today, guys?
Great.
Oh, that was weak. How we doing, guys?
Woo!
Come on, get some energy going.
Fantastic.
Hey.
Yeah. I don't know. Is that James?
Tell James he didn't want to take a stab at respelling his first name.
James? James Addiction?
I was trying to type it out on the phone. It sent me an email for James Neal.
All right, guys. So this is going to be a listing presentation class. Today, we're just going to talk about that. Now, listen, there's 100 different ways to do a listing presentation, just the same way there is to do a buyer consultation. So today I'm going to show you what I did when I was a listing agent and what my team still does to today, and some little extras that we put in there. I've got a folder of all this documentation. I have it via email that I can get sent out to everybody. You guys want to watch me get yelled at, you just go ahead and email Jenna, Jenna, at soldbykennedy.com. She will send you the entire buyer consultation. She will send you the entire listing consultation. So again, that's Jenna, Jenna, at soldbykennedy.com, and I'll get yelled at later. So, and now guys, this is not how I envision all of you guys doing your listing presentations. This is just my style, okay? So first of all, first and foremost, this is our logo, okay? So this is what we put on everything. This is, again, this is my style, okay? I know Rocal Group, you guys have the classy, chic, deals and heels look going on or whatever. You're probably not gonna go for the beard and sunglasses, okay? And if this looks too childish for you, that's because the 9-year-old in the other room is who designed this for me, all right? So this is kind of just how I've customized things. Now, some of you guys being new to the business are like, listen, PJ, I can't afford to buy folders, can't afford to buy all that. That's fine, okay? You're gonna need to brand yourself over time. I did it with the sunglasses look. You're gonna need Sandy, I know you've got the key kind of for with the 2 S's in it for your look. So you guys, yet I want you guys to take kind of the meat and potatoes from this conversation today and apply it to your business and see if there's something you could tweak or do something differently. I promise you'll get something useful out of this class, okay? So starting right off the bat, and now if you guys are gonna type in the chat for Zoom, don't interrupt me, please, because I'm about to go to a presentation screen share and I'm not gonna be able to see the chat. So we're gonna open this up real quick. So I've got a paper version and an electronic version of how I do a listing presentation. So first and foremost, as you guys can see, guide through the home selling process. Now, first of all, I want to give out a couple of kudos with this because guys, this is what we call R&D, right? You guys are familiar with R&D? Rip off and duplicate, right? Okay, so that's what we're doing here, okay? This is your R&D department. Mark Watson, some of you guys may have heard that name before down in the Valentine market, was a big listing agent. Some of this layout I got from him. There's another team called Casper Realty Group down there. The due diligence sheet that I've shown all of you guys, or some of you guys have seen, you'll see it again today. I got that from Casper Realty Group. So there's a culmination of a lot of different real estate agents kind of mixed in here. HPREA, they do close to about $100 million a year. That was the team I first started on. So my format, my resume and stuff come from there. Are you guys putting a resume in right now so your clients know when to contact you? One of the most important things about a resume is, and I'll share a quick story with you guys. I had a client call me at 2:30 in the morning once. And we were talking, he was looking at purchasing a home that had polybutylene piping in it, okay? And if you guys know anything about polybutylene piping, okay, it's the largest $980 million lawsuit, largest lawsuit in American history. I talked to him and I said, there's polybutylene piping in this house. You know, this is something from the inspection report. This is something we need to address and look at. And he's like, no, it's fine. So that was like 8 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night. 2:30 in the morning, he calls me. He had been researching polybutylene piping the entire time, which I didn't know, but that DC personality, he thought it was okay to call at 2:30 in the morning. You guys have to teach your clients how to treat you, and a resume is one of the best ways to do that. When a client can't get a hold of you in the morning because of your lead generation time, or how many of us just go, I'm just going to pick up the cell phone, answer the call anyways, and stop lead generation, right? Okay, so we need to make sure that you guys have something like that in there so that your people are aware. Another cool little trick with that is also put it on your voicemail. Christy Vernon, she's got a team in our Huntersville office. I called her last night and I called her at 6:02, and it says if the call is after 6 p.m., it will be returned the next day. Bingo. It was set for me. And I jokingly said, it's really 2 minutes late. Thanks, Christy. And she didn't call me back last night because that's her family time and that's what she should do. So getting those disciplines. So first and foremost, the guide through selling guiding you through the home selling process. You can bring this on an iPad, laptop, however you want to present this. If you guys want to do something similar to this, maybe we can get this working. Maybe not. We'll just click it. Okay. So first of all, we want to review why we're here today, right? So we want to review the motivation around selling the property, okay? Now you guys will have done a pre-qualifying script prior to going out to a listing presentation. I'm going to stop the share for 1 second so you guys can see. Hold on 1 second. You guys should have a pre-qualifying script, and I don't know what I did with mine. But in that information you'll get, it will say seller questionnaire. That's a pre-qualifying script. So some of the questions you guys are going to have on there. Number 1 is legal names, okay? Note legal names. It's very important, okay? What is my name?
PJ, Paul, I don't know.
What is it, Adam?
I don't
Paul
know.
James.
Paul James, maybe?
Close. It's Paul Jr. Very close. Yet, if you guys don't know that because you guys just know me as PJ, you can't put PJ in a contract, okay? I also had a client, and I think I told you guys this in the buyer class, Austin, right? Had known him for 6 years, no idea his name was Mark Austin, okay? Until we got to the closing table, and it took an extra 45 minutes to do all the paperwork. So legal names, all right? You're going to inquire about HOA information. Basically, what you guys are going to do is what you enter into the MLS database is what you're going to, or the questions that you're going to ask when you get to the listing presentation. Everything that goes into your exclusive right to sell, you're going to be asking those questions. Is there a fuel tank on the property? Is it inside of an HOA? If so, are the HOA fees mandatory? Do you have a copy of the CC&Rs, covenants, conditions, and restrictions? What about the bylaws that go along with that? The more stuff you can have prepared and ready to go, the more likely your seller is going to be to sign on that dotted line and move forward. Now, of course, we've got electronic signature, we've got COVID, we've got Zoom meeting. However you guys are going to go ahead and do your listing presentations now is fine. I always like to still sit down with people, and I'll be ageist, okay? Based off of someone's age, they may want to actually sign on that paper, right? Okay, so the average right now when you're looking at baby boomers are living in their house anywhere from 9 to 11 years. Okay, baby boomers are probably what we target because typically who are the parents of baby boomers? That's right, depression babies, right? Okay, so what were baby boomers taught to do from the get-go? Save. They were taught to save all of their money. So typically baby boomers have more equity. Now this is not a blanket statement, okay? For the most part though, baby boomers are gonna have more equity. They're gonna sell something. They've lived in that house on an average of 9 to 11 years. They're gonna downsize to something and they probably are at the autumn of their life where they wanna say, you know what? I'll spend a little bit more on this house. I wanna get a little something finer. So we target baby boomers because we know we're gonna get a sell side out of it and a buy side. Make sense? Who is actually buying more houses than anybody else right now? Do you guys know?
Millennials.
Millennials. Autumn, correct. Good job. So millennials are buying more houses than anybody else right now because millennials sit in a house on an average of 4 to 5 years, okay? Literally half the time that the baby boomers were. So as a result, they're going to move through this because millennials came out of that Generation X and Generation Y, right? And so Generation X they were referred to inappropriately as the cocaine cowboys, right? They wanted to have everything now. They wanted to lease the high-end apartment. They wanted to lease the really fancy car and not buy anything because they were a product of either depression or baby boomers. So they wanted to spend money. So it's really important that you guys have a little bit of a background and know who you're talking to before you jump into your listing presentation because you can tweak it and curtail it the right way that will relate to that person. So we're going to review the motivation. Why are they there to sell their house? Baby boomer, kids are out, right? So it's this 5-bedroom house. I need to sell it before the kids get home from college and try and move back in, right? Okay. That's their motivation to sell, okay? Whether they want to admit it or not. on the flip side of that coin, right? Hey, whoopsie, we're pregnant again, okay? And I shared this in the buyer class. This literally just happened to me about a month ago. The Longorias, I helped them buy their first property. It was a $92,000 property. It was a double wide down in Weddington. It was a whole heck of a lot of work for not a lot of pay, because on that $92,000, I had a referral fee too, okay? So I learned a great deal from that. They had three kids already, and were getting ready to have their fourth, which is why they needed to move into a bigger place. 6 years later, she called me last month. They're pregnant with twins, and now they need a bigger house. And I was like, listen, you guys all need to stop whatever you do. Like, I'm not complaining. Like, I'm going to get a listing and a buyer out of it, right? Or at least my team is. So that's the other thing that we see a lot is, hey, I need a bigger house, right? I don't have enough room. COVID, some of the silver linings that have come out of COVID, you guys have heard me say this before. I realized I don't have an office in my house, okay? And for those of you who know me, I have a 6-bedroom house. I've got a pretty big house. It's a good size house. And there's no dedicated office. I had to turn one of the guest rooms into a dedicated office through COVID. And that's how you guys got all of those lovely Zooms with the mermaid background, if you guys remember from Pivot with PJ when we were doing that during COVID. So a lot of people are realizing how small their houses are right now. And especially, one of the girls on my team put up a great post today that showed a kid working remotely from their laptop and said, do you need a better dedicated homeschooling space? Call us to get into a new home construction. What's that?
That was a good thing to say.
Yep. And it's all positive. It's straightforward. If you guys go on my Facebook page, you'll see the tag in it. So we got to review that motivation. If you guys don't know their motivation, or if they're on the motivation, guess what? You're in for a roller coaster of a ride, because you need to use that motivation. I say stick it in your utility belt and use it later, okay? Diana Kokoska, who invented the BOLD program, tells us that logic makes us think and emotion makes us act, okay? And so when we find the motivation, we've got the emotion. Now we need to logically find the house, or in negotiating the contract, logically talk about the prices and, hey, Kelly, we're apart $5,000. For you to move into this home before the baby's born and have your nursery and everything, is it worth the extra $5,000 or not? Okay? Be careful how you use motivation to your advantage, because sometimes they get overly emotional. And then I had a woman break down crying because I said, is it important to get an extra $8,000, or is it important to move down to Columbia, South Carolina so you can enjoy the autumn of your life with your grandchildren? And she started bawling her eyes out and signed the contract. So it is what it is. It worked, yet I'm just saying be careful in how you do that. True story. Hey, guys, I'm a little raw, so just be mindful. All right, we're going to agree upon a price that will cause the home to sell. It's very important. Cause the home to sell, okay? Not what the seller wants. You guys have been inside of our prospecting room over here, right? On the wall, there's what's called a seller net sheet that breaks out a $400,000 purchase price on a home at $390,000, $400,000, and $410,000. That was a real example that we did with the PC coaching group, and this was pre-COVID. It's still up there as a reference point, because when the seller only wanted $55,000 out of the house, yet was very adamant about that $400,000 number, well, at $390,000, they're walking away with $59,000. So they were getting what they needed to get. And are we going to get more offers? Are we going to go into multiple offers at $390,000 versus $400,000, so on and so forth, right? Okay. So that will cause the home to sell. Something else is power price index. Has anybody heard of this? Stop share for a second. Is anybody more price index? Let me briefly explain what a power price index is. Okay. Power price index is where, let's say, Rob, you're going to go and get a loan, okay? And Rob gets a loan to $350,000. So then he goes and sees Lindsay, his real estate agent, says, hey, Lindsay, I'm approved to $350,000. So Lindsay goes ahead and sets a search up for him for $350,000 on down. Then we've got Pam, who's also going to get a loan, and she gets a loan for $450,000. She comes to her real estate agent, Lindsay, and says, Lindsay, I'm approved to $450,000, yet I don't want to look at all the lower end properties. I want to keep it between about $100,000 window. So now Lindsay puts her on a search from $350,000 to $450,000. Now, if I'm a listing agent and I see a property that's around that $350,000 ballpark, and now some of you guys will disagree with me on this, and that's fine. Like I said, there's more than one way to do this. I will aim for a power price index, and this is why. If the property as I'm getting comes in my head somewhere between 340 and 350, I'm going to 350. If it comes in my head somewhere between 350 and 360 through my comparative market analysis, I'm going to 350. Now I'm going to 350 because Rob's looking at 350 on down. Pam's looking at 350 to 450. What am I doing? I'm picking up two buyer pools now. I'm getting the 350 down. I'm getting the 350 to 450. What is my job as a listing agent?
Get the house on.
Say that loud and proud.
Market to as many people as possible.
Market to as many people as possible. Get it in front of as many people as possible, right? I don't care if the actual CMA breakdown comes to $347,000, because if I do that, Pam never sees the house. If it comes to $352,500 and I list it at that, Rob never sees the house. I'm doing a discredit and a disservice to my seller if I don't price it at a power price index. Now, for rule of thumb, anything below $250,000, $300,000 window is going to go in $5,000 and $10,000 increments. Anything in the $300,000 on up is going to go in $25,000 increments. $325,000, $350,000, $375,000, $400,000. You get above what, does anybody know what the luxury line is? What defines a luxury home? 600,000. Bingo. Good job. 600,000 defines a luxury home. Anything over that, they're probably jumping in $50,000 increments, but I would still go with the $25,000 increment up to $1 million. Once you get above $1 million, I'm going 50 or 100, 150 to 200. Okay. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. You're going to open it up to a lot larger buyer pools. And this is the thing. When Rob went and got his pre-approval, right? He was pre-approved to $350,000. He was probably pre-approved to $362,742. The bank always is going to cut it down a little bit, or the mortgage lender, just for safety and simplicity's sake. Okay, because nobody ever gets approved to exactly $350,000. Now, when you guys are working with buyers on the flip side of this, we talked about this in the buyers class. I'm going to tell Rob, you're approved to $350,000. Listen, I'm going to look at $360,000 on down. Okay. So I'm going to go a little bit outside of that area. Same thing with you're looking in this subdivision or you're looking in this zip code. I'm going to go a little bit outside of that because, Sandy, are you going to get mad at me if there's something in the next neighborhood over that I didn't show you? Okay. Are you going to get mad at me if there's something in the next neighborhood over that I showed you that I let you know was outside of the neighborhood? Exactly. Right. Even if you decide no, she was given the option. If I don't do that, she's never given the option. Okay. So I digress. Any questions so far? Please interrupt me. I don't like talking. All right, so we agree on a price that it's going to sell, and then we decide whether we want to work together through this process or not. This is something really important, okay? When somebody reads that, they're always going to question me, well, what do you mean by that? And so I'm going to say, Angela, we've got three options that are going to happen today. Either you decide that you don't want to work with me, and that's okay. Work with me and our team, and that's okay. We may decide that we're not going to work with you, which is also going to be okay. Hopefully what ends up happening today, Angela, is that we decide that we're going to work together and we get this property sold. I always want to end on the positive note. Yet what did I do there? Why do I tell her I don't want to work with her? Why would I say that? Half of you guys are going, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I want to work with everybody, right?
So that you said
Mhm.
that.
Set expectations. Pam, what were you going to say?
I mean, it's a relationship, so it's 50, not necessarily 50-50, but you have to agree to be together, and if one or the other isn't on the same page, then it's not worthwhile.
You guys have heard the phrase wearing the pants in the relationship, right? If the seller wears the pants in the relationship, they're going to run you rampant. Okay? Plain and simple. Yes, it is a partnership. It is a 50-50 partnership. That's exactly what it is, because I'm running a business over here, and you listening to my expertise is going to get you to sell this property at the price that it's going to cause it to sell at. Who determines the price of the property? When it comes down to brass tacks, who determines the price of the property?
Market.
The buyer.
Or
It's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. As simple as possible. The market's a strong indicator. The seller's willingness to let it go for that amount is a strong indicator. It doesn't matter if you've got Donald Trump's house that's got gold-plated everything. It's probably overpriced for the neighborhood. It's only what somebody is willing to pay for the property. We talk about multiple offer situations, right? We're seeing a lot of those right now. Why are we seeing multiple offer situations?
we don't have any inventory.
Low inventory, that's one. What else? Too many investors. What else?
Low interest rates.
Low interest rates, that's a big one. More people can get loans.
Greater equity in what you're selling.
Greater equity in what people are selling. Or maybe they have to move here. Maybe they have to make a move because when you guys look at it, MetLife, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Truist, Areva, Pactera, Honeywell, Duke Energy, Lowe's, all of their United States headquarters are based in and around the Charlotte metro area. Some people may have to move here, and I'm getting a $50,000 bonus, moving bonus, whatever. I don't care if I'm overpaying $10,000 for a property. And where are those people coming from?
Up north.
For the most part, except for Honeywell's coming out of Arizona, okay, and they've got a good competitive similar market. Yet MetLife, where are they based out of originally? Does anybody know before they made this their headquarters? Nope. They do have a big presence in Boston. New York City. Are we cheaper than New York City? We are a lot cheaper than New York City, and the houses are a lot younger than New York City. So decide that we want to work together. Okay, now I go into a little bit about Keller Williams Realty. This is one of those optional things. Listen, guys, you've got it in your back pocket. Use the name, okay? We are #1 in the United States and Canada. Last year, we won what's called the Triple Crown of real estate. You guys know what that is? The most associates per firm, the most units sold per firm, and the most volume sold per firm in the United States. We've won the Triple Crown 2 years in a row, and it had not been won, I think, for 18 years by one company win all three, but I think it was 18 years. Don't quote me on the number, okay? So we talk about the #1 training company in the world. That's across all industries, right? We know that. No other real estate firm has been in the top 25, named by Training Magazine, and retired or put into the Training Magazine Hall of Fame in 2018. All right. Now, this is for the Ballantyne Market Center, so ignore line 3, okay? The Ballantyne is the #1 most profitable market center in all of Keller Williams worldwide, and at the time, currently 550 agents. We will have to adjust those numbers for our office, okay? Now, meet the team, okay? This is really important. You may be like, okay, guys, PJ, this is a lot of fluff stuff in here, right? I want them to know who they're talking to, okay? So as you can see, lead agent, director of operations, director of growth, and then North and South Carolina agents. Now, the director of growth is also a licensed North and South Carolina agent. The director of operations is also a licensed South Carolina agent, yet doesn't sell. The other 3 all sell. As you guys know, in my team leader position up here, I do not sell anymore. Yet I want them to know who all of these people are. Who's had a client get pissed off or annoyed or frustrated with them at one point or another? Am I the only one? Okay, thank you. Some honesty, okay? Sometimes I just need to segue, step sideways, and let Jenna, my director of operations, take it over. Because if Angela is really upset with me right now because I said something wrong or I did something wrong, I need to give her an outlet. She can go to Jenna. As you see with the folder, I've got 2 folder places for business cards inside here. The reason for that is I'm always giving them the director of operations information because she is also our transaction coordinator. She will take care of everything from going ahead and booking all of the inspections, any additional inspections that need to be done besides a general home inspector, if it's a listing on the measuring side, she'll book the measurer. She'll book the photographer. If we need a stager, she'll book the stager. So I want them to know who's going to be their liaison person that they're talking to. Okay, very similar with what we're putting in place here in Cornelius with our transaction coordinator that we're going to be introducing in October. Then I do a little bit about me, like I said, okay? Again, it's a fluff piece, guys, yet they want to know who they're working with, and it helps open up conversation and build rapport. Anola, can I pick on you for a second? Okay, Anola and I met today. We started talking about real estate, and just so happens her husband's family is from Springfield, Massachusetts. I'm from Winchester, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. Instantly built some stronger rapport with her just because like-minded individuals. She likes the Panthers. Her husband likes the Patriots. I like the Patriots. My son's mother likes the Panthers. We had a connection there. So getting into some of your personal world is going to help build rapport. Does that make sense? Questions on that? Agency. What is this right here? Yes, it is. There's the compliance guy, Terry, chiming in. It is required. He is correct. Thank you. This is essentially the Working with Real Estate Agents brochure, which we went over in the last class. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but is a quick definition of what a seller sub-agent is, what a seller agent is, what a dual agent is, what a designated dual agent is, so on and so forth. Okay? Now, let's get into preparing the property for sale. Number one, what can the seller control? This is really important. Again, you may be like, dude, this is basic information. Everybody should know this. You need to put it in front of their face, okay? You're in charge, Kelly, of keeping that house clean, property condition. If something happens and one of the kids breaks a window, you're going to get it fixed, okay? Property condition. What are the ABCs of real estate, right? Location plus condition equals price. Always, okay? And I'm not talking about location like where it is in location to the city. I'm talking about, are you at the corner house front of the neighborhood that 375 people drive by twice a day at least going in and out of the neighborhood? Or are you all the way back in the cul-de-sac where you may see 4 cars a day? Who's got a better location? Cul-de-sac, right? Absolutely. So condition, availability for showing, okay? Now, typically what I like to do is I like to do a 2-hour lead time. Typically for the average size of the house, unless you guys are doing some big luxury homes, that's enough time to just get it picked up and good to get out the door. A lot of times they can do it faster. What I'll do with sellers sometimes is I'll say, we're going to go live, and I'm going to explain how we do our open houses in a little bit. Yet we're going to go live on a Friday. I want you guys to take off for the weekend. Get the house looking tip-top shape, take off for the weekend. Go to Charleston, whatever you're going to do. Get out of town for the weekend because we know we're going to see the influx of showings probably that weekend, right? So availability around showings. And then, of course, price. You guys can tell them that it's $350 all day long. If the seller doesn't want to list it at that, they don't have to list it at that. Okay? What does the seller not control? Competition. Okay? How many of you guys have ever taken a listing and the next thing you know, you see another listing in the same neighborhood pop up, right? I'm going to talk about through our open house program how you guys can go ahead and make sure those listings fall to you. Because right now I've got a girl who's on our team, Lara. Where is she? Lara right there, okay? And it's Lara has been with us, I want to say 3 months, and I'll stand corrected on that, has 3 listings in the same neighborhood right now.
Nice.
Okay. Now, seller does not control the competition. Seller also does not control the market. Somebody said earlier, market does play a factor. Absolutely it does. And it can play a factor in many different ways. Okay. Economy right now is looking strong. Interest rates are looking low. A lot of people can do a lot of stuff inside of the business right now, or inside of the real estate world, right now, because there's a lot of availability and the buyer pool is wide open. Okay. Yet what happens when that shifts? Because we know we're getting ready for a market correction after the election, most likely in 2021. Are you guys going to be prepared for what that new market looks like?
100%.
Now, we have such low inventory that it's probably not going to impact us as hard as it's going to impact other areas of the country, like a Detroit or a lot of the more northern cities that have a lot more inventory and availability. Yet that buyer-seller's market is always going to play a factor. Have you guys seen the 11 reasons to list during the holiday? Okay. If not, Jenna at soldbykennedy.com. She'll send you a copy of it. Katrina also sent it out with the productivity coaching program. That's a script that you guys should all start working on right now as to why people should list their homes now more than ever. Okay. We pulled up the inventory numbers the other day in the coaching group. And I want to say it was 6,500. Angela, do you remember what the number was for inventory? When I started in the business in 2013, it was 25,500. Okay. That's a world of difference. Now more than ever, those 11 reasons to list during the holiday script are going to come into play. All right. Seller does not control interest rates. Terry already told us about interest rates. Interest rates good or bad right now, guys? Good for who?
Buyer.
They're actually good for everybody, right? Because the fact that you can borrow money really cheap means more buyers can borrow right now. Yet it also means that if there's more buyers, then sellers can sell for a higher amount because the inventory is so low. The inventory was fatter right now and interest rates started to increase, it would hurt everybody across the board. So it's good right now. We don't know how long it's going to last. If you guys have clients that you worked with in the last year, 18 months, 2 years, have you talked to them about refinancing their house? Because if you haven't, you need to. That's part of our job as a real estate agent. Kelly may not be ready to sell in 22 months. Yet she needs to know that when she bought into that property at 4.125%, she can probably go ahead and knock that down by a full percentage point right now. And if it's a $300,000 loan, as we know in a full percentage price, that's an extra $200 a month that she can probably save on her mortgage. And if it's a 30-year fixed, that's an extra $72,000 over the life of the loan that she can save. Who's she going to remember saved her that money? You as the agent. She's going to come back to you. Did I go too fast with the math on that? That's a different class altogether. But anyways, all right. So when the perfect buyer walks through is also something the seller does not control. Before we move on to agents' responsibilities, this is what I'm going to tell you because you're going to have these sellers out there, guys. Okay? Where should the seller be during the showing?
Away.
Far, far away, not there, yes. Okay? Guys, you know the Palisades neighborhood, right? Third listing I ever took in the business was in the Palisades. It was in, I think I listed it for 430 because I didn't know what a power price index was then and so on and so forth. And the seller would get in her car. She would sometimes wait for the buyers to get there, get in her car, drive down to the end of the cul-de-sac, sit there and wait and watch. Okay? I had still shot pictures taken and sent to me from agents in the market center and in my market center, like, hey, is this what your seller drives? Because she's kind of creeping us out. Okay? Why do we want the seller to be out of the property? Yeah. How comfortable are you right now? It's okay. I'm good. Okay? When somebody's right over your shoulder like that, the buyer is going to pay as much attention to the house. No, they're going to want to get through there as quickly as possible. So make sure that you have that conversation with the seller because you're going to get a seller who's going to be like, well, listen, hold on a second. Okay? When I was 17 years old, I sold Cutco knives door to door. I know how to sell. And they're going to try and sell every buyer that walks in the door. If you guys haven't run into it yet, you're going to run into it. Make sure they understand the rules. Again, another one of the reasons why we say go to Charleston for the weekend, right? Okay, agents' duties and responsibilities, and some of these can be pushed off on an admin or transaction coordinator, inputting the listings into MLS. Excuse me, installing internationally recognized sign. Doesn't that sound good? Pricing guidance, preparing internet advertising, holding an open house, giving feedback from showings, reviewing offers and represent you in negotiations, guidance in staging your property if the property does need to be staged, maintaining an open communication, be proactive and prospect for buyers. We're going to get into now the open house protocols of what we do and what's called the 3-tier door knocking script. Now, before everybody calls Gary Keller, this is not a Keller Williams approved, okay? I just want to be clear about that. Yet this is what we do around every listing. Now, COVID, okay, has changed this a little bit for us. How we go through, and again, I have an open house protocol on this. If you guys would like it, where do you get it? There you go, Jenna. Okay. She's really going to love me. Okay. Listen, guys, all my stuff you guys can take and share. So, is most of you don't end up using it anyways. So through the 3-tier door knocking system, this is what we do. We'll get a listing. We'll go ahead and we're going to put it into coming soon. How long can you put a property in coming soon for?
I don't know the answer.
21 days. Yeah, look at you guys go. 21 days, you can put it into MLS prior to going live with it. So we will do it anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks out. And we're always going to go live on a Friday morning. Explain why in a second. Okay. And this is what we do the week that we're going to go live. Sunday night, we have our flyers prepared and ready to go. And coming soon, you can only put one picture up. Okay. Right? Correct me, Terry? One picture, right?
No, you can put as many as you can. It's common
Oh,
to see one or
Did it change? Because it used to be one picture when it first came out, I thought.
Well, you have to put at least one picture.
You have to put at least one. Okay. Okay. Thank you. See, I don't know everything, so that's why I keep Terry around. So you guys are going to have your flyers prepared Sunday night. Who prepares your flyers for you? Nope. Don't be taking my Jenna. Okay? Your loan officer. Why is your loan officer going to prepare your flyers for you? They're free. They're going to do it, and they get to put their name and their picture on it. And the only loan officers that get to prepare flyers for any one of our listings are also going to go and door knock with us. If you're not going to be out there boots on ground, we're not going to give you the business. Okay? Now, this is something that we do. Not a lot of people do it. Yet what we found is if I've got a loan officer with me, right, and maybe they have a loan officer assistant, and I've got myself and maybe another agent who's going to be holding the open house with me, can I hit more doors with 4 people than with 1? Absolutely. And do loan officers want to work with us and help us? I've had a home inspector door knock with me before. Okay? And he did his little spiel about, hey, do you ever want to have your house inspected or checked out? Or is there anything I can look at right now? And he's just walking through people's house. I don't care. He's telling them about my open house. So somebody, again, guys, leverage your business. So the loan officer goes ahead and prepares my flyers. Sunday night, I want to see a copy of it. Okay? Monday morning, what happens? Now, our open house is Saturday and Sunday coming up. Every single day, we're doing a social media blast. So we're putting out social media blast that day. And what we're going to be doing is what's called circle prospecting. Who knows what circle prospecting is? Circle prospecting is where we call the adjacent neighbors and everyone in the subdivision and the move-up neighborhoods around it. We're going to do that over the course of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay? Why am I doing that? Hey, Sandy, I want to let you know the neighbors down the street, the Joneses, are going to sell their house with us. What do you care? You live in the neighborhood. Why am I telling you that?
I'm nosy. I want to know where they're going, and I got to keep up with them. So
Got to keep up with the Joneses? Nice play on words. I like that. Okay? Yet, I'm planting that seed because what do we know happens once you put a listing up in a neighborhood? Other people are going to pop. So I'm getting in front of them before the listing's ever even gone live. Okay? So I'm talking to them. Then what I'm going to do now, due to COVID, this changes a little bit. But Wednesday and Thursday, I'm going to go out, door knock the neighborhood, and do the same exact thing. The three-tier door knocking script, which you get from Jenna, right, goes something like this. Hey, Kelly, this is PJ with Kennedy Homes of the Carolinas. Wanted to let you know that the Saccos down the street have decided to entrust us with selling their property at 124 Perfect Street. We're going to be having an open house this weekend, and I wanted to apologize for the extra traffic that's going to be coming through your neighborhood.
Wow.
We're doing an open house Saturday from 12 to 3, and then again Sunday from 12 to 3. After all, you love this neighborhood for a reason, or you wouldn't be living here. We would love your feedback on the property. So what we're doing is we're having the Nosy Neighbor Hour from 11 to 12 on both days. Do you think you could stop by the Nosy Neighbor Hour and give us some of your feedback? Now, you're going to get those people that are like, oh, let me tell you, okay? And if she tells me that, no, I don't like this neighborhood, there's my next listing right there, right? So I will go into, and she's not talkative, I'm going to go into a series of questions and say, so Kelly, what is the thing that you love most about this neighborhood? Oh, there's a great kids' ages in the neighborhood, same age as my kids. There's it's close proximity to bars and restaurants because I'm a big lush. No, I'm kidding. Whatever it may be, right? You're going to find out. And what I'm doing is I'm taking notes the whole time on a clipboard. So then I can go and say, oh, crap, I didn't know that was right around the corner. I can go and promote that now. And I may even go back and change my MLS and type it in to add it into the public remarks, right? So I'm getting data information. It's a win-win, just like we say at Keller Williams, right? Win-win or no deal, okay? Then as a result, I'm going to say, so can we count on you to stop by, okay? She's going to say yes, no, indifferent, whatever, doesn't make a difference. Okay, I'm going to ask for some help from Sherry Wooten here on this one, or from Terry.
You have 2 questions on that.
Yep.
real quick. So one, you should automatically confirm with your seller though if they're okay with that. Some people might not want nosy neighbor hour, right? Like their neighbors coming into their house.
I will go through this entire thing as if I'm having a listing presentation with you guys right now. If somebody does fuss, we're going to have a conversation around it because I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to bring as many people to the table for you if you don't allow me to do it.
And then what was your recommendation with COVID? Still do this or?
So with COVID, what we've been doing is we've been paper tubing. And instead of physically going and knocking on the door because we were getting some pushback from it. And it cost me $75 to paper tube a neighborhood. Jennifer Farnsworth, who is our insurance rep, her daughter Taylor just got her license and she goes and paper tubes for me. So that's how we do that.
When you say paper tube, you mean put it in the newspaper too?
Yeah.
And there's no legal issues?
Not in the newspaper tube. If you open the mailbox, that is a felony.
The paper tube's no problem.
Paper tube is no problem. And what you'll find there's different ways to do this. Sometimes you open a screen door and put it in there so it's hanging, so they have to open it, put it under the doormat. Or if, depending upon the level of the neighborhood, if they have those metal garage doors, like I don't use my front door. I go in through my garage door all the time. And so I have business cards that are on magnets and I put the flyer magnet on the garage door. So there's many different ways to do it, yet paper tube. Questions? Okay. All right. Now, where was I? Okay. That's okay.
Monday, so we did Sunday, Monday. What are we doing?
So this is Monday, Tuesday is the circle prospecting calling. Wednesday, Thursday is the door knocking. But you're doing a social media blast every single day. Okay. And it's going live that Friday morning at 8 a.m. Okay. I had a legal thing. Oh, yes. Okay. So now I know what we're going to do. So what we do is we go live on a Friday and we know that there's an open house Saturday and Sunday, right? So why would I go live on a Friday? Huh?
People are planning their weekend.
People are planning their weekend.
They're panicking because they don't want to get to the open house.
They don't want it to get to open house. So I'm building a sense of urgency because remember, they've been looking at it for 2 to 3 weeks inside of Coming Soon, right? Now, can you guys accept offers inside of Coming Soon? Absolutely. You guys can go submit offers and accept offers inside of Coming Soon. Does the average agent out there know that? They should. Yet they don't, because I've gotten many a phone calls when I get $10,000 over list price before we ever went live. And people say, we didn't even get to see the house. Oh, I don't know what you want me to tell you. An offer came in, the sellers wanted to accept it. Okay, so I go live on Friday. I'm usually stacked up, and this is what I do in showing time. Let them overlap. I let the appointments overlap so other people can see people coming in and out of the property, and then they're going, Lindsay, we really like this house. We need to make an offer right now. Again, I'm building a sense of urgency. Now, if we do get an offer in, I'm always going to relay everything to the
DJ,
seller.
real quick, do you
Yep.
guys do overlapping with COVID now? Because showing time defaults now automatically to no overlap. You can change it, but what are you guys doing with that?
Personally, I don't care if they overlap because somebody's always going to wait to walk out of the property anyways. Now, some people will disagree with me on that. Okay. I would rather allow it because I'd rather have 2 buyers run into themselves at a property.
Okay.
But it's your call. It's because guys, we're all running our own businesses, right? Yeah, Terry.
Yeah, showing time is going to default to the no overlapping. And they're also defaulting right now. I had a lot of 45-minute windows, not hour, not 2 hours, but 45-minute windows. Don't worry about it if you happen to be on the buying side. I had a 15-minute window on one of the listings that my buyer really wanted to see. 15 minutes. We're under contract on that.
Yep.
So, hey, 15 minutes.
Again-
If I hadn't taken it, wouldn't have had to say it.
Again, it's building a sense of urgency, right?
Absolutely.
So there's no wrong or right way to do this. Okay, so we do our open houses. Now, any offers that come in, I do have to go ahead and submit, or I have to go and pass those over to the seller, right? So the sellers need to see that. However, if for whatever reason we feel that we're going to get some more offers, we may hold off on accepting any offers, regardless if they have a special provisions addendum or not. There is a form for special provisions, and you can actually put it right on the contract now, I believe, that, offer to be accepted by 10 p.m. tonight. Don't let that scare you, because if you've got enough traffic going on and you've got people coming in and out of the property, if they were going to accept it at 9:59, they're probably going to accept it the next day at 11 a.m. Okay? Just my opinion. Again, my opinion. Now, okay, so now we're going to go and we put the property under contract in the first 48 hours. Okay? So, Kelly, we're going to door knock a second time for the neighborhood. Most agents are going to give up at this point, move on to new business. I want to get more listings in that neighborhood, because look at what I just did. Kelly, you remember the Sacco's down the street with the open house? Thanks for coming by this weekend, by the way. I wanted to let you know we got it under contract in 48 hours. Now, I cannot, this is where Sherry and Terry will throw something at me. I can't say what we put it under contract for, okay? All I can say is that we went into multiple offers, and as a result, we went under contract in 48 hours. We'll let them assume whatever they want to assume from there. Now, Sherry, if I go out there with the other 3 offers that lost, I take just the first page and I black it out, and I say, these people were also looking in the neighborhood and were not able to, I can't say the number, but I can show them, but I have to black out the information. Right, Sherry? Oh, there, she's shaking her head already. She's mad at me. I know you're mad at me. Okay?
Even if you tell them,
You're on mute.
Interested buyers.
You're on mute, Sherry. You're still on mute. There you go. Hold on. I can't hear you. Is this up? Is it up?
no, I meant for her. She was trying for her.
I think you need to turn up your volume, Sherry. I can't hear you.
She's agreeing with you.
The Zoom gods are saying that Sherry agrees with everything I'm saying. So, according to Sherry, I'm thinking she does not want us to do that. So what I'm going to tell you is, even if you don't have those in your hand and you let them know that I had other interested parties that lost out, so I've got ready, willing, and able buyers, Kelly, to buy in your neighborhood right now. Who do you know that I need to know who needs to go ahead and list their property? And she may say, heck, you got buyers? Well, let's talk about what can I get for my house, right? So that's going to go ahead and open up that conversation. This is exactly why Lara has 3 listings in the same neighborhood right now, okay? And they're $200,000 listings, okay? Whatever. She's got 3, 600 grand, right?
That's where they have to buy.
Okay, then the last thing I'm gonna do, after the property closes, hey Kelly, remember me? Probably getting tired of seeing me now, okay? I wanted to let you know that the Sacco's house closed, and I wanted to let you know that we sold for 105% of list price. Or I want to let you know that we sold for $10,000 over list price. Guys, go brag on yourselves. And what is that gonna make her think? I don't care if she's selling her house right now or not. What's it going to make her think?
You're awesome.
I'm awesome. That guy got her 10 grand more. She doesn't know that she wanted to list it for 20 grand more. All she knows is I got her 10 grand more, right? So as a result, I'm sitting out there and I'm touching them 3 times. Half of you guys don't even door knock once. I'm hitting every neighborhood 3 times. Now, again, with COVID, be careful around the door knocking, okay? Yet you can still do that flyer and say the same exact thing that we just talked about. I've got buyers interested in your neighborhood. We sold for $10,000 over list, or 105% of list, whatever sounds more attractive, okay? I promise you guys, you do that, you will get another listing in that neighborhood.
So, side off question.
Okay.
Where around here do you get somebody to print something quickly?
Well, who are you using for a lender,
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
You want to work with me, you want to be my preferred lender?
Right.
Because I'll tell you right now, George Weiss at Summit Funding is in the next building over. If I call him right now, he'll print off 100 copies of whatever I want.
Oh, okay.
You want me to call him?
No, I'm good.
I'll ask him.
No, okay, I get what you're saying. So it just doesn't have to be
Leverage.
gorgeous and beautiful, it just needs to be flyers in the bag.
Just, hey, George, do you want to put your face on a flyer with me?
Okay.
Lori Hoffman, a lot of you guys have used Lori Hoffman with Movement Mortgage. She has a girl, Renee, that's all Renee does is print stuff for her. I don't care who you use.
Okay, so that's what you're doing.
The- Leverage this off your plate. So we have two things that we work on as real estate agent: income servicing and income producing events. Flyers, the prettiest logo in the world, the prettiest website in the world, that's all income servicing. Leverage that off your plate when you can. Income producing, actually talking to clients, making phone calls, boots on ground, showing properties, writing offers. Those are the things that you need to be focusing on. Your day should be split up 80% income producing, 20% income servicing. I don't make a flyer. I've never made a flyer in my life, in all honesty. Even when I first started in the business, I paid the assistant MCA to make flyers behind the MCA's back for me, okay? Don't tell CC I said that, all right? But my point is that I knew I was not good at that, so I leveraged it off on somebody else. Yet, when the people get the flyer, they don't know who made it, right? And it's got George's face in the bottom corner and my face in the other bottom corner. That's it. Yet I'm leveraging that off my plate. Okay, so I digress. So moving forward, we are going to dive right into the exclusive right to sell listing agreement. Now, let's go back. Should have made this class 4 hours. Okay, so what the agent can control. Seller's responsibilities. We talked about a lot of this already, right? Keeping the house clean, be patient, understanding no transaction is 100% perfect, right? Home warranty plans, okay? Now, we have 3 home warranty companies here. HWA is one of them. This is the one that my team is our preferred home warranty company. You guys use whoever you want. America's Preferred is another one that we have in this office, and also Old Republic. We want to talk about home warranties with sellers because it is a nice thing to offer, especially with so many millennials buying more than any other group right now. Hey, I'm going to give you a guarantee for the first 13 months on your house that nothing's going to go wrong, right? It's a nice little security blanket for people. So you want to have that conversation as well. Professional photography, okay? Paul Boscovich with Bosco Photography. He is our preferred vendor. That's why we've got his stuff up here, okay? You guys put whoever you want up there. These are a couple of pictures of properties that we've listed before that Paul shot the photos for. Marketing plan, okay? I went through our, in probably a little bit too much detail, our open house, yet you promote, you want to promote directly to the prospective buyer. So we're going to do internet promoting. We're going to have open houses, door knocking that may be off your list right now. Daily calls. Those are the circle prospecting calls, okay? And guys, if you don't think that open house method works, or if you think you're like, well, PJ, that's a little over the top, I'm probably going to do half of that, that's fine. The 6th house we listed in the Thornhill neighborhood in Valentine, when we did this again, people were like, hey, and at the time I was on a team called the Elrod team. Thomas Elrod runs HBREA. And they said, hey, Elrod team, who are you selling this week? Right? That was kind of the response we started to get. The 6th house we did what was called an all-day open house. Okay? If you guys want to partner together, we had 6 real estate agents, and we held the house open from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. that day. Okay? We did shifts of 2, right? Okay? 2 agents on at all times, and we overlapped. We had over 100 people walk through the open house, and we had 54 email signatures at the end of it. Okay. Now we put a spread out and everything. We did a lot of different things that we added into that. It's not an open house class, so I'm not going to go into detail on that. Yet, if you don't believe me that this stuff works, it's not going to work the first couple times. You need to build that rapport with the people. And if you're staying inside of the same neighborhood, you'll own that neighborhood inside of 6 months, I promise you. Okay. So yard signs. You guys got to be careful with yard signs. So when you're talking about a townhouse community, you may not be able to put a sign out front. You may have to put it in one of the upstairs bedroom windows. When you're talking about a private country club community, okay, River Hills, it's on Lake Wiley down in South Carolina, okay? It's half of it's TKK, half of it's the town of Lake Wiley. River Hills neighborhood, you have to have their custom guy make the signs. I think his parents own the HOA or something because they look like really crappy signs. And you have to do two. You got to do one for the front of the house and one for the back on the golf course. Okay. And so I think I spent $150 on 2 signs to have made. I sold one house in there. Okay, great. I've got these signs still sitting in my garage to this day. So find out about the yard signs. And what,
Yeah, I was gonna ask, do you just call the HOA? Or the
So
neighborhood?
typically, the HOA is not going to talk to you. So you have the seller contact the HOA and say, hey, we're going to put our house up for sale. Where do we need to go? What sign do we need to get? Palisades was one of those other neighborhoods. Palisade signs were a little bit better because you can just peel it off and put a new slick on. Yet those were $400 a sign because it's the Palisades. Okay. And I still have a Palisade sign to this day. I probably have $3,000 worth of signs sitting in my garage doing nothing. Okay. Enlist the efforts of other real estate professionals. You guys are all familiar with the KWLS, right? Keller Williams Listing Service lists across all 44 countries. Yes, no, maybe. Okay. Okay. So we do have a KWLS that you guys can go into. So if you have clients that want to go buy in California, you can look at properties over there. I'd highly recommend putting them in touch. California agent, so they can open up the entire MLS because it's just going to show Keller Williams listings. Okay. Yeah.
Where do you find that? Because I'm not aware of that.
The KWLS.
Yeah, I'm a little
It's-
embarrassed to ask.
It's inside of KW Connect.
Okay.
I will get you the exact path to get there because I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Direct promotion to other real estate professionals. How do you reach out to other real estate professionals about your listing? Who would you reach out to? I've got a listing in, give me a neighborhood, any neighborhood. The Peninsula. Awesome. Thanks. Okay. I got a listing in the Peninsula. Who am I going to reach out to? Well, I know Dixie Dean with Alan Tate sells a lot in there. I know Matt Sarver and Christy Walker sell a lot in there. But that's just what I know from my knowledge. So how am I going to identify the agents that are selling in that neighborhood?
Pull up that neighborhood on the MLS, start looking at the agents.
Say it loud and proud. You pull up that whole subdivision and you find out all the listing agents in that neighborhood. You want to take it one step further, pull up all the closed ones in there and find the agents that were on the buying side as well. There's also this little button, and this is not an MLS class, down at the bottom of your listing that says reverse prospecting. Do you know what reverse prospecting does?
They reach out to you and email saying, one of your clients fits my criteria.
So that's a proactive agent, because what happens is Lindsay sets me up on a search. I see a property. I have 3 options. What can I click? Heart. I love it. Light bulb is a possibility. Trash can, I don't want it, right? So the light bulbs and the possibilities, or if I just view it and don't click it at all, will show up in a list on reverse prospecting. Now, it's not going to say PJ Kennedy. It's going to say Lindsay Kendrick had a client that looked at your property and he hit the heart button, or he hit the button, or he just looked at it. I am going to do a generic email, just like you said, Sandy, and I'm going to set that up, and I'm going to reverse prospect out to all of those agents because their clients, whether they know it or not, are already looking at that property. Make sense? Okay. And then internet websites where you're going to get exposure. Okay. Here is an example of all the real estate websites where they're going to find my property. Now I go in by hand and put into each single one of these, right? Wrong. What did Jenna teach? Cece? Jenna 2.0. What did Cece teach us?
Doesn't the MLS kick out to all of us?
There is a button in command where you can just click a little button and every listing you put in will filter down to all of these servers, which will hit 10,000 different websites.
Break my head on that. So we're gonna make sure I got that button.
May want to pay attention to stuff CC talks about in team meeting. Just saying.
Well, there's so much.
There's a lot. Oh, there is a
so
lot. That's why we're doing this class again next month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I might be here there then too.
Key objectives, okay? Pricing your home for the property's fair market value. Timing, that's what we talk about, going live on a Friday, right, into the weekends. Convenience of selling your home with the least amount of inconvenience. Establishing a pricing strategy. This is where I go into the Power Price Index, which we already talked about, okay? Importance of intelligent pricing. Again, we're talking about where the market value is, what the desire is for that neighborhood, what has the turnover been in the last 90 days. I'll go back as far as 6 months. If I can get something turnover-wise in the last 30 days, that's the best. Okay, preparing for the offer, okay? These are 3 things that are gonna happen. You accept an offer, reject an offer, or you counter offer. That's all you can ever do, okay? Sorry, it's getting warm in here. Getting excited talking about listings. All right, so do we want to reject an offer?
No,
No?
no, no.
So you got a $500,000 listing. I send you a $100,000 offer. You want to reject my offer?
Not really, no, I don't.
Sometimes you do want to reject my offer. Why would you want to reject my offer? Something better comes along? Well, it's still open if I don't accept it or I counter offer. It's still open.
You got several sitting in front of you right now.
Got several sitting in front of me right now. That could be a reason. Why else? Or I'm going to probably call for highest and best in that situation, unless the seller tells me not to.
Exceptionally low, the seller's gonna be insulted, so what you're doing is you're not coming down and you're not offering a counter. You're just saying, hey, we'd love to work out a deal with you. However, this offer is way too low for the seller. Consider it.
Well, we still have to share it with the seller. We have to share it with the seller.
That's after the seller gives you.
Okay.
the offer.
Okay,
Yeah.
but what if the seller then doesn't get any other offers and goes, shoot, I should have just taken that one. I know they get insulted.
That's why it's their choice, not yours.
Okay, I know. All right.
So let me give you a quick story about when I rejected an offer and why. So I'm selling my grandmother's house in Massachusetts. Catherine Albiani, I went to high school with her. She's doing the deal for me. Okay, awesome, great. So as a result, what ended up happening is we get an offer on the property. Property was listed at $650,000. My grandmother had passed away, so this is an estate property at this point. Guess how many siblings my dad has?
I'm gonna get one.
9. My dad is one of 10 kids, all married except for 2.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry, all married except for 1, but one had passed on. So we went ahead and did the additional signatures addendum so that only my aunt and my uncle were actually signing on the property instead of the other 18, 17, whatever it was. Okay? Yet they were still, like a good Irish Catholic family, going to fight and argue over everything. And I knew this, and this is the power of knowing your client. So we got an offer on the property at, it was listed for $650. We got an offer on the property for $557. Okay? Now, it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house with a 1-1 basement apartment that had some damage and busted window and some things that we knew needed to be fixed. So, and it was priced pretty good at $650. All right, long story short, I said, Dad, this is what you're going to do. I said, you're going to get all your brothers and sisters together, and you guys are going to agree to reduce to $625,000. He said, okay. I said, right now, what you're going to do is you're going to call Catherine, and you're going to reject the offer instantly. He had the offer for about an hour. And he said, oh, we can't do that. I said, well, what do you mean you can't do that? I said, if somebody offered you $100,000 for the house, what would you say? He's like, well, I tell him to go bleepity bleep bleep because he's Irish from the north, okay? And I said, all right, so bleepity bleep bleep and reject the offer. I said, because the second that you start toying back and forth with them, your negotiation skills weaken. If you know that you're not going to accept that offer in a situation like this, we knew that there was some damage in the house. So we knew they needed to do some further investigation and inspection on the property. So we rejected the offer, and I said, Dad, this is what's going to happen. I said, you watch. I said, they're going to set up a second showing on the property, probably in the next day or two, because like they're going to come over with a home inspector to check out the damage, and then they're going to reevaluate and give you, another offer. I said, and if not, I said, what did you lose? I said, don't cause a big deal over it. Rejects the offer. 2 days later, they come over with a general contractor, not a home inspector. Okay, I was close. And of course, because I'm an Irish Catholic family from Boston, my uncle lives next door to my grandmother's house, so they're watching through the blinds, right? Like good sellers. Not even joking. So anyways, as a result, these people come back in and they come with an offer of $600,000 flat. That's our highest and best. Now, what's my dad got in his back pocket? $625 from all the siblings that have agreed over the last 48 hours. So he counters them with $625. They come back and they close at $620 on the property. Now, flip the roles. If they started at $557 and we dropped to $625, then they're going to come to where?
600.
Is he frozen or is that just my screen?
And yeah, I was about to say, did anybody else get disconnected?
Got it.
Yeah, I did
Man
too.
down. Man down.
What happened?
You might have lost
You
it.
froze when you said if you were at they were at 557 and y'all said 6, but you froze then. I'm not sure, but I think the
Okay.
answer is 600.
So the answer was 600. We probably would have met at 600, which would have been $20,000 less if we even met at 600. So the point was that and this is probably more of an aggressive negotiation, okay? Yet you got to understand, if the property just sat there, it's an estate property, there's no motivation to sell it except for my aunts and uncle wanting to get their money out of it, right? So as a result, we wanted to get top dollar for the property. And yeah, was there some emotion in that? Sure, of course there was. And the thing is, still to this day, my family doesn't even know I was coaching my dad on how to do it, because they don't want that drama either, okay? Because somebody's always going to cause a fuss that you did something wrong, right? So a lot of times, as long as we have the seller clued into how we're going to negotiate and in their best interest, as long as they're comfortable with it, sometimes it's okay to go ahead and reject that offer right off the bat. Because if I reject an offer quickly, what does it tell the buyer?
Not my son.
Nope. I'm like that's just not even going to play right now. And does that scare some buyers away? Sure. It absolutely can. Yet if I go back and forth, so Pam, I'm going to sell you this cell phone. Okay. It's a X10. It's used, $200. You come back and you say, give me $100 for it, right?
Yeah, I'll take
100. Okay. What are we going to, now don't say, just think in your head, what number does everybody's mind go to right now? 150. Why does everybody's number go to 150? Splitting the difference, right? And in our mind, that also already tells us that that's a fair number. So I want to get anything above 151 and up, I'm winning. 149 and down, she's winning. Yet if she tells, you're going to give me $100 for this? Yeah, no deal. But she really needs a phone. She comes back at 125 now. Now where's your mind go to? 75, 160, right? So we're splitting the difference. That's how the human brain works, okay? You guys know the RAS, the reticular activating system in the back of your head, right? They talk about this in bold, okay? That's where all of your, everything you were taught as a kid growing up, right? That's where all your embedded commands live, right? I've done this exercise with you guys when I say money is the root of all happiness. See, somebody's already taken the class, okay? Yet a lot of people's mind goes to money is the root of all evil because that's what we've been taught, right? Okay. Let's go back to our slideshow here. All right. All right. So acceptance, rejection, or counteroffer. When we counter an offer, what are we countering?
Any one of the moving pieces on the.
Oh, bingo. Got it right off the first bat. Any one of the moving pieces. So list them off for me, guys. What are we countering?
Diligence,
Due diligence fee,
Date,
earnest fee,
dates,
dates of both of those,
warranty,
A home warranty, possibly. What's the big one? The price of the house, right? Let's focus on the big one, right? The price of the house. What else may we be throwing into the mix here?
Dryer,
Washer, dryer, refrigerator. Contingent on somebody else selling their house first. Closing costs. It's going to be hard to negotiate the type of financing because if they don't approve for that loan.
Right, so you get investment finally, you turn your, I'm gonna go get a loan into, I'll give you cash.
If they can do that. Not a lot of people can do that. What else? What about a seller possession after closing? What about a buyer possession before closing? There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to an offer and purchase, offer to contract and purchase. Okay. All right. Moving on. So we have what's called a comparative market analysis. You guys have all heard of that. What does it say up there? Competitive market analysis. We do a different CMA. We're not going to compare you to everybody else. We're going to compete with everybody else. Okay. If you can't tell, that's where my high D comes out, right? Okay. So we're going to look at active listings. We're going to look at pending sales. We're going to look at recently closed in the last 30 to 90 days. And then we're also going to look at some of the withdrawns and expireds. Why would I put the withdrawns and expireds up there? This didn't work for these people. It's not going to work for you, right? And again, it's going to depend on how reactive my seller is to what I'm telling them. Okay? Focus on the results. Proper balance of these factors: location, competition, timing, condition, terms, and price is going to equal sold, or as I like to simplify it, ABCs of real estate: location, condition equals price, always. Okay, the process. You guys have seen this before, I think, right? Okay, pass this around. This is the home buying process. As you can see, the seller is on the left-hand side, the agent is on the right-hand side. These are the things the seller is responsible for over here. These are the things the agent is responsible for over here, and we meet in the middle, okay? This will take you all the way down from putting it on the market, showings, offer to purchase coming in, offer acceptance, all the way down to settlement. I'm not going to read this entire form out for you guys, okay? You're going to get it when you email Jenna. A little bit of information we put out about the team, okay? This is kind of like the resume section. This is being passed around for those of you in Zoom land, okay? I'm going to stop sharing this now. Okay. So just a little bit of information about the team, what we do, where we sell. Licensed North and South Carolina. Okay. I want everybody to know that because the Valentine location is about 10 minutes from the border. I want them to know that they can use me in both states. And those of you that are not licensed in South Carolina, we accept referral fees. Thank you. And we do pay 25% referrals. Measure America. Okay. Use a measuring company, guys. Measure America on a 0 to 2,000 square foot house is $60. 2,001 to 4,000 square foot house, which is probably the majority of what we're talking about, $75. Okay, I pass this around. Now, this is a great conversation piece to have with your seller. Why is it important that we get a measuring company out there? Why, Lindsay? We just had this conversation. Okay, so liability purposes for $75, right? Okay, so Lindsay, you just measured a house, didn't you? And was it the same as what was in the tax records? No, it was not. Okay, now if I go and I buy that house, which you're going to send me all the information on because I think I have an investor for you. If I go and buy that house and I find out that it's off by, let's just say 10%, that's a big percentage. Okay. And if you guys don't think this doesn't happen, it does. Okay. I have a coaching client that I coach out in Asheville. Okay. So if you guys need any references for Asheville, Drew Alexander, he's the guy out there. Okay. Appraisal measurement came back 900 square feet different than what the listing agent had up there. The appraiser was actually wrong. The listing agent was correct. However, if I'm a buyer on that property and I find out that there's 900 square feet difference, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to sue. No, I already bought the property.
You already bought,
I'm sorry, I don't know if I said that clearly.
I might have.
I'm gonna go sue Lindsay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is Lindsay the seller? What is she gonna say? She's gonna say, "Oh, my agent Angela measured the house for me. Sue her." Right? And then what's Angela gonna say? I use this company called Measure America. They're a third-party independent company. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, not only am I protecting myself, I'm protecting you in this instance as well. Okay? I would say photography, that's the next thing. Okay, like I said, I use Bosco. You guys use whoever you want. Get professional photos done. Guys, don't take pictures on your iPhone, please.
What's Bosco?
Please. It depends on the square footage. Last house he did for me, I think it was $185. He also does some drone work and some video work too. Again, I'm not here to promote him, but we actually don't have a photographer vendor, so I don't care. So use Bosco. He's a really good guy, and he's really good at what he does. This sheet right here, again, those of you in Zoom land, you'll get all of this through from Jenna. This is tips on preparing your property for photos. Okay, things that you need to do: clean up, declutter. Okay, let's look at this sink cabinet arrangement we have over here. Right, look at the left-hand side of it. How does it look? Look at the right-hand side. How does it look? Clutter, right? Rule of thumb that I'm going to tell you guys is for every section. So, for example, this is a section because it's broken up by a sink. This is a section. If there was a stove over here, this would be another section. Every section has one thing on the counter if it has anything, and that's it. If you've got a coffee pot there, that's all you got. I hate coffee pots and toasters. Put them under for the showings. Okay? If you've got a knife butcher block there, okay, leave that up there. That looks good. You want to walk in, and if you guys don't know the image that we're going for, everybody's homework is to go out and tour a model home, okay, tonight. Go stop by your favorite new home construction and see what they have laid out in the model home. That's how your property should look, okay? Now, when we do go under contract, we're going to have inspections, okay? Now, these are the big three. We talked about this in the buyer consultation as well. I've got a whole sheet of 17 different things here to do, okay? You notice I logo everything, right? If you guys haven't noticed that, okay? I'm going to get this tattoo soon, I promise, okay? There's 17 things on here, yet I'm going to give you the big three when it comes to a home inspection when you're talking to a seller. So, Sandy, I'm going to list your house. This is what we're going to do right before the home inspection. Number one, you're going to go and check all the light bulbs, okay? Change out all the light bulbs. Why do we do that? When a home...
They're always going to be, like, good. You're not going to have any burned out bulbs.
Well, what is an inspector going to say about the light bulb?
Is there a bigger reason why that's?
He's gonna say that this fixture has 6 light bulbs in it and there's one out. We would recommend having a licensed electrician come out and look at it to make sure there's not a short in there, right? Because they're not gonna say, oh, the light bulb's just out, because now the responsibility is on them. So light bulbs, number one, okay? Number two, in your garage, you've got a gorgeous 3-car garage, Sandy, I love it. Yet, as we're getting ready to sell the property, you're putting everything into boxes in the garage, and you encompass this whole wall over here. What's the home inspector going to say about that? Could not inspect due to obstruction. Everything in your garage pulled away from the wall 6 inches at least, if not more. Start a pile in the center of your garage with boxes. I don't care how stupid it looks. It's a garage. Okay? Third thing, change your air filters. I don't care if you changed them a month ago. Change them the day before the inspection. And this is why. Whether they're going to either do the heat or they're going to do the air conditioning. One of the two. And you guys been in an inspection and you see how they measure that? They go up to the vent. They aim their little laser at it. They take a reading. They go over here. They hit the button. They drop it down or they turn it up, whatever, in a 15-minute window. And they just put it on the max. And then they go back and they measure and they see the degree change inside of a 15-minute window. And from there, they'll tell you if it's working well or not. I kid you guys not, Highland Creek neighborhood. You guys know it? It's close to here. Consuela does a lot of business in there, okay? I was there, a large house, 5,200 square feet we were selling, okay? Big boy, 3 units outside. The home inspection, the home inspector said that there was an issue. So the buyers called out a HVAC contractor. So I said, okay, when's the HVAC contractor going out? They said Tuesday morning. I said, great. So I called an HVAC. Now I'm a listing agent. I called my HVAC contractor and paid $65 out of my own pocket to get him to go out there and take a look at it too. Because I'm sorry, I don't trust nobody. The first guy said this unit needs to be replaced. I said, okay, thank you very much. The other HVAC inspector showed up while he was still there. And so he goes, yeah, I don't care. He goes, I'll wait. The other HVAC inspector went outside. The house had been sitting vacant for so long that all of the filters were caked. He pulled them out. The air pulled fine. The other HVAC inspector got pissed off, slammed his door, and drove off because he just lost a $7,000 deal. So number one, always go behind people. Yet filters are probably the one thing that people forget the most about. And even though you're supposed to change them every 3 months, usually they're dirty after 4 or 5 weeks. Okay. So those are the big 3. We'll read through that list of other little inspection things. Okay. And we all get that from? God, she's going to hate me. All right. Home warranty information. As I said before, I use HWA. Doesn't really matter who you guys use. Okay. But have some material around there. And guys, home warranty companies, when they start asking you questions about it, that's why I've got my rep, Susie Britt. Call Susie, ask her about it. And that's what I say, because you know what? Anything I say to them, I just made a verbal promise. Okay? Let them talk. It's the same way, Rob, you would never say, oh, you look like a good-looking guy. You're approved to $500,000, right? No, we would never say that. So don't do the same thing with home warranty or any other vendors such as Measure America, Home Inspection Company, whoever you're going to give them to. We had Preston Sandlin on yesterday on our team meeting. And one of the things he was talking about is his new pre-home inspection. Were you guys on for that? Did you hear about that? I think it's a really cool, really smart program for his business. If you guys were to go and talk to him and get some material around what a pre-home inspection looks like, price-wise, all that, you could bring that into this listing presentation, because as we found out yesterday, everything that Preston does, if it's a pre-home inspection for one of your sellers, when people go and buy that report, he sends you the lead for the buyer. Open up your business a little bit more, right? Shameless plug for Preston. All right. Exclusive right to sell listing agreement. We're going to get into the nitty gritty here. Sherry's going to yell at me. Maybe. I'll keep you muted. All right. So as we start going through this, section 1, or I'm sorry, right off the bat, who is this agreement between? Say it loud, Lindsay. Seller and firm. It is not with you. Your name does not go on here, okay? You are the representative from the firm. The firm owns the listing. Terms of agency agreement, okay? So what is your term? Your period of time. You'll see 2 boxes down here, okay? Number 1, effective date shall be the date that this agreement has been signed by both seller and firm, as Lindsay just told us. Or the property is currently listed for sale exclusively with another real estate firm. Wait a second. Can I go and list a property that's currently listed with another firm? Yes, I can. When can I?
When you have an exclusive, it's one of those types of.
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh,
When they reach out to me.
okay.
I cannot reach out to a listing. So do not go down the street and be like, PJ told me I could list your house with me even though it's listed with somebody. No, that's not how it works. When somebody reaches out to you first, then you can go and sit down and have the meeting when the conversation's been open. You cannot start first substantial contract, okay? Because now what you're doing is, there's a term for it. I don't remember what it's called. But you're stealing a listing from somebody else, okay? You cannot do that, okay? Yet somebody, a lot of times, nobody reads this, so they don't know about the termination section that's in there, okay? All right. So, and then of course you always have to put an expiration on. Section 2, property. This is the pedigree information on this, okay? So I'm gonna start passing these around. So what goes into this? Parcel ID number. Where do I find parcel ID number, Angela? Yep. You're right. Yep. Realist or, in the tax lookup, right? Do we take it off of the MLS sheet from when it was expired with the last agent? Why do we not take it off of the MLS sheet? It's the same parcel ID number. Say that louder.
Too many of them are lazy and put anything they want in there.
What happens if the real estate agent put the wrong parcel ID number in there?
Or you're buying the house.
You're not buying that house. Okay? So don't ever go off of what another agent has put in there. And when you're preparing an offer on the buy side, go ahead into the tax records and double check this stuff for yourself. Okay? Because real estate agents, and I'm not going to say they're lazy, what I'm going to say is we're human and we make mistakes. Okay? Or we're also going to need on here a deed book and reference page. Rob, we were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? Okay? So how do we know which deed book and reference page to pull from? It's in the county records, and it will be off of the last sale that the property had. Okay? Every time it sells, it changes. So don't go off of the one from 3 sales ago, okay? Go off of the current. Again, a lot of this stuff is self-explanatory. What's the address? Okay? That's not difficult, right? We got that. Okay. All right. Fixtures and exclusions, section 3. What I want to talk about with sellers here, because I'm not going to read them through this whole laundry list. If it's glued, bolted, and screwed, it stays with the property. Okay? The 3 items that I'm always going to touch, because I want to do broad strokes in this, is a washer, dryer, and refrigerator do not convey with the sale of property. If we want to include washer, dryer, refrigerator, that is perfectly fine, or we can keep it off and use it as a negotiation tool. That's going to be a conversation for you and the seller to have. Now, on the buy side, if you are purchasing a property and you want that gorgeous stainless steel Samsung French door refrigerator, how are you going to put that in the contract? Yep. What are you going to say there? Refrigerator?
Detail on that brand, like specific.
When you open a refrigerator, what's on the inside there? VIN number, right? Just like a vehicle or car. There's a VIN number. You're going to put down the VIN number because the listing agent is going to know you're serious. Because if you put in refrigerator at time of showing, which you see a lot, by the way, does anybody have an extra refrigerator in their garage? Because I got a beer fridge in my garage, and who says that I don't take my stainless steel, because I have the Samsung French door fancy one, okay? And I take my little black single handle door one and put that in there. It was in the property at time of showing. I technically didn't do anything wrong. Now, we all know I'm being devious when I say that. However, how do we solve that? And this is what I do. If you're walking around that property, you're Terry, 15 minutes inside that property, and you know they like that, I'm going to the washer, dryer, refrigerator. I'm taking my phone out. I'm snapping a snapshot of the VIN numbers to have just in case. Your client's going to be like, what are you doing? You're crazy. You explain to them what you're doing, and they're like, oh, he's protecting me. Awesome. Great. Make sure, don't take anything at face value in this business. Okay. So personal property. There's going to be some instances where there is some personal property that is being sold with the property. For example, I had a really large listing, my first listing out, and they had this marble dining room table that was 2 giant slabs that was actually built and put together in the dining room. The table wasn't going anywhere, okay? The marble matched the marble on the countertop. Nobody's going to say this, that, or the other thing. They were keeping the house. Now, this house was a large house. It was 13,980 square feet, 8 bedrooms. I don't know how many bathrooms, sky bridge to the guest quarters, 8-car garage. It was a big house. The whole house was coming fully furnished for an extra $100,000. If we got to that situation, what we were going to do is we're going to do a bill of sale outside of closing, because what's going to cause a red flag for a lender is a personal property sale. The only 3 things are not going to cause a red flag for them. Again, this is for the most part across the board, is going to be the washer, dryer, refrigerator. So you're selling anything else, separate bill of sale outside of the closing for $1, okay? Or whatever you agree to. Home warranty, we already talked about. Listing price, we already talked about. Firm's compensation. What's the firm's compensation? It's their commission. What is it? What's the number?
not set.
It's never set. I'm glad none of you guys gave me the answer of 6% because it's not always 6%. Are there people that do discounted brokerage? 4%? Right? Okay. And what do they say? What do we say when we say, oh, Pam, I'd love to list with you, but Sandy says she's going to do it for 4%. What's the script?
Well, if she feels that she's worth 4%.
Bingo. Hey,
Blah, blah, blah.
if Sandy feels she's only worth 4%, I'm not going to argue with her.
I mean, you know,
Right?
I'd list with her too. No.
If you know that you're gonna, I would say, well, I'm curious as to what services is she not gonna provide. The other thing I do is I go to this very next page, page 4, and talk about cooperation of compensation. Because if she's gonna do it for 4%, how much is she keeping? Is she keeping 1% and giving 3% to the other side? Or is she keeping 2% and only giving 2% to the other side? Because, Mrs. Seller, as a buyer's agent, if I see a 2% real estate commission when everybody else across the board is a 3% normal, which way do you think I'm going to steer my clients? I'm going to steer them where I'm going to get more money, right? And that is probably a agent that is not well scripted that does a discounted commission, because it doesn't really matter. The commission number doesn't matter at all. What matters is how much motivation the seller has and what they're walking away from the table with. I had a woman that told me absolutely not listing over 4%. I said, listen, that's fine. Let's sit down and let's just have the conversation about it. I think I've shared this story with some of you guys before too. 189,900 was the listing. She said, my agent's a jerk. He listed it for 4%. He was keeping 1.5% and giving 2.5%. Never did an open house, doesn't communicate, doesn't do, yeah, well, for 1.5%, I'm not going to do that either. I said, it's indicative of what you pay is what you get. Okay. So I said to her, so let's talk about it. She goes, I'm not listed over 4%. She sat just like this. I was like, great. I was like, awesome. I go, because I usually don't take listings less than 8%. Why did I do that? Where did our minds just go to? 6%, right? Okay. So as I'm talking to her, I said, listen, what does it really matter? What matters is how much money you need to get out of the property. And it was an investment property for her. So I said, how much money do you need? And she said, well, I've got $42,000 in debt. And I've got another $3,000 over here. A 45 would put me even. I want to walk away with 50. I said, great. Let's do a seller net sheet, right? Go to the prospecting room. We did a seller net sheet, and I didn't even tell her what I was putting in for a percentage, right? I did out all the math, and I said, okay, I did she's at 189.9. I did 185, 180, and 175, and I did a seller net sheet for those three. Why did I do it that way? Why 175, 180, 185? Why did I do it that way? She's going to meet in the middle, right? Even though she was already listed at 189, because we had already got her to verbally commit to, as long as she got her over $45,000 out of the property, she was fine. Guess what she was getting at 180? 51,000. Oh, you know what? I usually don't go off of the 8% commission. I did this at 6% commission. She wasn't even having the commission conversation by the end of the seller net sheet with me, because now she was attached to the dollar amount. It's a really powerful tool when you use it the right way, because when I say 8%, she says 4%, what are we doing? Is this the relationship we want to have with our clients? No, we want to have this relationship. So we find the common ground of getting to that number. And we were able to get to that number. And she said, well, I've been listed for 89. I'm not taking less than 185. I said, you're getting everything you want at 180. I said, and you're going to be more attractive. You may even incite a bidding war. Under contract, 48 hours for 185 flat, $500 in repair costs. That was it that came off the top. She walked with $56,000 at the closing table. And then recently, she just bought another house with us up here in Huntersville in the $300,000 price point. So, guys, make sure you don't just puff up your chest and fight about something as stupid as commission. And are you guys worth more than a 6% commission? You are. If you guys don't believe it, start believing it. Okay? And do we see a lot of 2.5% commissions out there right now? Okay? Moving forward, if you put in an offer on any property that is less than 3% commission, I want you to add a form. Terry, what's it called? Confirmation of compensation. Because the listing agent has to show that to the seller, where page 4 comes into play, which says how much percentage they're giving to the other side. There is a firm out there that lists at 10% and gives 2.5% to the other side. Okay? So, I don't know. So, what do I put on my confirmation of compensation? How much percent do I want? 4. I put 4% because they come back and they go, 4? You're crazy. I'm only getting 3.5 on my side. Okay, I'll take 3.5. Well, I'll give you 3 and that way we'll be even. Oh, okay, thanks. Right? I go over the top, especially when it's that one company that I know that charges more. I'll even go 5% on them. Okay, so on this, section 8, cooperation. This is how I do it. This is just how I do it, okay? The first section is cooperating with subagents. I will never cooperate with a subagent ever. The reason being, seller-based state, North Carolina, I am responsible for anything that the buyer does in a subagent situation. Well, not anything, but I'm more responsible because the buyer's agent has nothing tied to the property. And it forces them to get into a relationship. So now there's a fiduciary duty and responsibility because they're already giving them that fiduciary information. I promise you that. I will check box number 2 where I cooperate with the buyer's agent representing the buyer and offering them a compensation of 3%. Okay. I like to play nice in the sandbox. I give 3%. Now, Rob did a deal yesterday. Land is a different percentage. Okay. Land is typically a 10%. So in this situation, I would put 5 there. Okay. All right. There are some times I will put 4% in there. When will I put 4% in there? When my mother needs to sell her house. Absolutely not. I charge her double.
You say there's times when you're offering 4?
There are times when I'm offering
Why would you
4.
do that?
Such a grocery 2 and 2, okay. All 4 in there?
Yep.
When you're desperate to get this house sold, who wouldn't show?
No, I'm getting 8%.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to do it for less than the buyer's agent's getting paid because it's more work to do the listing side of it. Yet what I'll offer to Mrs. Seller, Kelly, if you'd like to really move this property quickly, and we know you're already going to make the amount of money you want to make off the property, we can offer 4% because everybody else is only offering 3%, and we'll get more people coming to your property. How do you feel about that?
Like to see what it looks like.
Bingo. And by the way, I'm not going to make less than them, so it's going to be 8% total. Or you can do 9 and I'll take 5. Okay. Right? And seriously, so I have a 2.2 million, or my team has a $2.2 million listing. And I can't go into the details of it because of fiduciary duty and responsibility. Sherry's going to yell at me and Terry's going to throw something at me. However, there is a set number that this guy wants to hit on the property. And we talked about commission reduction. Now, how many of you guys would say, I'll do a commission reduction because it's $2 million, right? It's a $60,000 commission. Okay. I'll do it for 2.5 instead of 3 on my side, right? Some people will jump at that. Okay. We see that a lot in the luxury market. So we came down and did a seller net sheet. I said, okay, so what's your mortgage? He goes, what's a mortgage? I said, okay. So I probably shouldn't have even said that, right? Terry's going to throw something at me. Actually, they can look it up in the tax records. It's okay. So anyways, he said, this is what I'm walking away with. This is the dollar amount that I'm walking away with. He said, I don't care percentage. He said, you and the agent split and I walk away with this. So I said, okay, let's do it. As long as we get him to that number. Right now, my commission is close to about 12%. Take it, right? Maybe, maybe not, okay? But check out this confirmation of cooperating firms. I'm sorry, I'm mixing forms now in my head. Cooperation with compensation other firms. The last one I don't do either is cooperating with and compensating other cooperating firms. I just do the middle one. I'm sure some people will argue with me on that one. That's fine. Yet this way I make sure it stays, and Sherry's not going to argue with me. Awesome. Love you, mean it. Next, you get into the firm's duties and responsibilities, which we've already talked about. And then you get into RESPA. If you guys have done less than 10 listing appointments where you sat down, I want you to read this bold section verbatim to the client. Okay? And this is how you do it. You just say, hey, the North Carolina Real Estate Commission makes me read you this, okay? The agent firm shall conduct all brokerage activities in regard to this agreement with respect to race, color, creed, sexual, religion, sex, now I'm going too fast, national origin, handicap, or familial status. This is RESPA, guys, okay? Read it verbatim. Know it. No fresh corn, if you know what I'm talking about, okay? You guys know fresh corn? Okay? I know who went to Superior, okay? All right, marketing. If you look in this marketing section, I'm checking every single box on here. Now, it's funny is with the $2.2 million listing, the guy does not want print material. He does not want us to put it into a magazine or anything like that. We went back and forth with him on it. We're revisiting it. If the property doesn't sell, we're going to go to print material. Yet he said, nope, I don't want to do that. I said, we're going to pay for it for you. He said, nope, I don't want to do that. Can't do what the seller doesn't want you to do, okay? So signs, open houses, advertising other than the internet, coming soon advertising, and internet advertising, okay? Well, we're on that. We're going to skip over to this form right here called Internet Advertising Addendum, okay? Do you have to have this, Terry? Do you have to have this?
You do not have to have.
You do not have to have this. Why do I have this? Cover my butt, okay? Or we're just going to call it liability. How's that? That sounds better. Okay, so this is going to go into everything having to do with internet advertising. It also protects you so that I can go ahead and I can use the photos from this property later in my advertising. Could that be beneficial to your business? Okay, so there's the marketing and there's the internet advertising addendum right behind it. Okay. That's okay. We're over. I've got a 3 o'clock too. That's not good.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Next, we're going to talk about super key lock boxes, putting those on the property. Guys, if you don't have a super key lock box, come see me. You can borrow one of mine. Okay. Let's not do the combo lock boxes. The only thing I'll ever put a combo lock box on is a vacant investment or distressed property. Okay. Because you guys open up too much risk to putting a combo lockbox on a $2 million property, and anybody and their mother can get into it if they've got a real estate license. What do you think is going to happen, right? The market's good right now. What happens when the market turns bad, okay? Because I'll tell you, even in places like Valentine, where I've cut my teeth for the last 7-8 years, okay, we had a whole firm get shut down because the broker in charge had a combo, I don't know if it was a combo or super or whatever. They kept going into the same property, the broker in charge, to steal drugs because the person had Prozac or whatever, okay? Stuff like that happens, guys. Make sure that your clients are protected. Please, please, please.
Hey, PJ.
Yo.
Hey, so those combo lock boxes that we typically see, we do a lot of property management. We can pick one of those in less than 3 minutes. I do it all the time.
And Scott's an honest guy from what I know. At least what Jennifer told me. So, all right. So thank you for the proof in the pudding right there, right? So guys, make sure you're using those Supras. I've got like 30 of them. If you need to borrow one, just give me 24 hours notice so I can grab it from my other office. I know Katrina has a couple extra laying in her office as well. So just make sure, guys, you're protecting your clients. And thank you, Scott. Okay, earnest money. This is where we're going to go into that addendum that explains the difference between due diligence money and earnest money. You guys have all seen that graphic. Somebody said something in the chat. Oh, Christy had to run. I didn't even know she was on here. All right, so I want to show you guys this graphic. And how do whoops, I got to get out of this presentation. 1 second, sorry, technical difficulties. I know you guys have seen this with the other presentation that we did, okay? So let me share this with everyone so they can see. This is what I use when I'm explaining due diligence to a client, okay? Whether it's the buying or the listing side, okay? And again, if you guys want this graphic, where do you get it?
Jenna.
There you go, okay. We're actually updating and changing the South Carolina one right now, which you guys shouldn't need to worry about. South Carolina made a lot of changes last year. They changed to calendar days from business days. We've always been at calendar days. Their end of business now changed from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. We're always 5 p.m. So I'm just going to focus on North Carolina here. So disregard South Carolina with this slide if Jenna forwards this to you, okay? Because it's not right. This is the best way I can describe what due diligence fee and due diligence period looks like, an earnest money fee and the earnest money period, okay? So as we're looking at this, the start of this is the contract acceptance date, the day we go under contract. This says usually, okay? We like using words in contracts like almost and usually, don't we? Okay? Usually you're expecting, as Sherry and Terry both cringe, 14 to 21 days due diligence. Now, if you're in a multiple offer situation, that period's probably going to be shorter, so on and so forth. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put the date that today is on here when I'm explaining this to someone as, hey, okay, today is the 26th, okay? So I'm going to put August 26th right there. This is going to be on a $400,000 property, so I'm going to put $400,000 written up here in the corner, okay? I do it this way purposely because I'm giving this to the seller to take home with them. So when they ask me later when they get an offer, is this a good offer? I say, go ahead and pull out that due diligence sheet, okay? So $400,000 up here, today's date. Our due diligence period is going to run, let's just say, till September 10th, okay? So I put September 10th on there, and then we're going to close October 2, okay? Great, grand, wonderful. It's about a typical time for a transaction anyways. What is earnest money going to look like? Who knows?
What do you mean?
How much money is the earnest money deposit going to look like? Say it loud, you right? 1%. So I would put approximately $4,000 there, right? Now, I'm talking to a seller. So we want to think about the motivation of this. So I'm going to say up to 1%. If I'm talking to a buyer, I'm going to say at least 1%. So this way, I'm going to put up here $3,500 to $4,000 because I want to set that expectation, because if you get a high C personality seller, they're going to say, Rob, you said $4,000. This is $3,800, Rob. We're not going to accept that. You're going to get hung up on that little fact. So I'm going to say up to 1%. So I'm going to say $3,500 to $4,000 window there. Okay? Same thing with due diligence. Now, I'm going to go on the lower end because I'm talking with a seller. So I'm going to say anywhere from $500 to $700 in due diligence there. Okay? Now, there is no rhyme or reason to due diligence. It's whatever they are willing to take the property off the market for this extended period of time. Should it be more than $500 on a $400,000 property? Yeah, it should be. Yet again, I want to set that expectation lower for a seller. If I'm talking to a buyer, I'm doing the same exact thing with this sheet with them. Yet I'm going to be saying, okay, on that type of a property, we're going to be closer to about, $600 to $900 because $900 is probably too high for a $400,000 property, just in my experience. Yet this is going to be 100% negotiable. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, now, when would we see this any different than those two ballpark figures I gave you? Say it loud. You got it.
Multiple offer situation.
In a multiple offer situation, especially in the lower price points, I have seen $2,000 in due diligence money and $500 in earnest money for a total of $2,500 because that was what the people had cash on hand, and that's how the agent was getting creative around it. Okay? So just be mindful. It is 100% negotiable. I'm just kind of filling you in on the ballpark. All right. So we're on to page 7 if you're following along at home. This is the seller representation. So this is where we're going to talk about flood hazard insurance, synthetic stucco, homeowners association, termite bond, how long they've owned the property for, and current liens that they have on the property. I have all this information already? No, not all of it. Tax records doesn't tell me if I'm in a flood zone.
I don't know, but you can get it. Flat map.
You can get it from a flat map. Okay. Does it tell me if it's in a homeowner association? Okay. Where can I get all this information really quickly, all like that?
That's the song.
Pre-qualifying script, what do we start with, right? The pre-qualifying script is going to answer all these questions so you have this filled out right when you walk in the door. You can do all of that, and that's great. Leverage it off your plate, right? Quicker, easier way to do that. Buried fuel tanks, anything miscellaneous. We're still going to review it when we get out there. We're going to ask the questions, are they in bankruptcy? Are they contemplating going into bankruptcy? Is any leases on the property? Yeah.
What about, and I know we talked about it a little bit the other day, but I need a refresher.
Go ahead.
Synthetic stucco.
Synthetic stucco, that's right there, in there.
Yeah.
It asks that question, and that should be part of your pre-qualifying script as well.
So what's why is that specifically discussed?
Synthetic stucco, there's in the state of North Carolina, there is a special addendum if you do have synthetic stucco to know if it's a hard or a soft stucco. So if there's hard stucco, and then there's the synthetic, which has two different brands, okay? So basically what it is synthetic stucco, to just give you guys a quick little lesson on it, okay? Synthetic stucco is where literally it's styrofoam against the house and the stuff is sprayed on. The problem with that is when it cracks over time, water gets in behind there, comes down, it can do foundation damage, it can do wall damage, and you can have pieces of stucco just coming off the side of your house. So if there is synthetic stucco, there is a special addendum. Terry, correct me. Do you know the name of it off the top of your head? You search synthetic stucco, it'll come up.
Okay, because I have a house that I have a client looking at, which has synthetic stucco.
Then I'd ask for the disclosure addendum. It's a disclosure, actually. It's an addendum and a disclosure, but yeah.
And it wasn't in the additional files that you can pull up, like the attachments. Yeah, it wasn't in the attachments, so I guess that's just a separate question.
Or do they not know?
The whole house.
Is it synthetic or is it hard stucco?
It said that it's synthetic, the description.
Okay, then there should be an addendum for it.
Thank you.
Yep. Or a disclosure, rather. Okay. Okay, so we talked about bankruptcy, leases. FHA appraisal. If there was an FHA appraisal done on the property within how long?
Oh, 6 months.
There it is. Becca's got it in the back. 6 months. If there's an FHA appraisal done on the property within the last 6 months, if anybody comes to the table to purchase that property with an FHA loan, it goes off of that appraisal. No matter what, don't care what's happened. If it was 5 months ago and the market's changed now, nope. It stays at that price. What about VA? How many months on VA? Put one down. 5. Yeah, it's weird. 5. And VA also has some other different loopholes to jump through. If Katrina was here, she would know all of this.
Yeah. VA, you know, they get their due diligence and they get their estimate time on the VA now. So they get all their money back if they decide to.
And do you know if there's chipped paint on the property, it has to be sanded and repainted by the seller, or else the deal doesn't go through according to the federal government because of lead-based paint?
Okay.
Even if the property was built after 78? Do you also know that the buyer on a VA is not allowed to pay for the wood destroying insect report? It has to be paid for by the seller. So if you're on a listing presentation and somebody comes over with the VA loan, you better know that that seller has to pay for the WDIR, right? But you guys wouldn't know that, so who would you talk to?
My seller.
Your seller's not going to know.
I mean, the seller was then buying, right?
Nope.
They knew everything.
Say it louder, Terry.
Your lender.
Your lender's going to know the basics about a VA loan, right? So guys, make sure that you're always asking these questions. Okay. And then of course, if there's any special assessments with the property, what's a special assessment?
Pool house, they know it's.
The roof on the pool house is going to be repaired via the HOA. There's going to be a special assessment fee for that. Or townhouse community has been sitting there for 12 years and they're going to re-shingle the roofs across the board and everybody's going to get hit with a $1,600 charge that they have to pay out over the next 6 months. If you run across something like that where it's HOA driven, what am I going to recommend that my seller do? They here? Bring them up into the classroom. Thank you. Say that again. I'm sorry. You're going to tell the seller, we're going to go ahead and take care of this ahead of time if we have the money. So you can have a proposed or you can have a confirmed assessment, special assessment. Where else could there be a special assessment? Think outside of HOA. Give me an example. Sidewalks need to be redone, right? You guys ever heard of a town called Monroe, North Carolina? Yeah. And I learned you got to say it Monroe, because when you say Monroe, they're like, oh, where are you from? Right? It's Monroe. Okay. What? It's a drive. What did they put in down in Monroe over the course of the last 3 years? That goes from 485 all the way down to Monroe. Toll road. It's called the Monroe Bypass. And we were talking about this yesterday. Thanks to something called eminent domain, which I'm sure you guys will remember from pre-licensing, the Bonne Terre neighborhood lost between 4 and 5 acres of prairie. So Bonne Terre neighborhood is a regular standard neighborhood, yet they had this section at the front with a barn that you could store your horses at, and it had all this little prairie pasture for the horses to run around. Government said, well, hey, that's not where somebody lives. We'll just take that. Thank you very much. Give them fair market value for it at the time is what it is. Want to know how many houses we sold in Bonne Terre neighborhood once that special assessment got confirmed? 4 in 6 months. Guys got to be aware of these things, right? Got to be, and if not, like seller, you got to be careful because seller knows something like that. They can hide it from you. So you got to do your own due diligence. We were talking about negligent misrepresentation, intentional or unintentional the other day, right? Lindsay, weren't we talking about this, me and Sandy?
Yeah.
You were listening, right? Okay. Next section, seller's duties and responsibilities. We've already gone over that and talked about that. We talk about in here home inspections. And then, of course, we also are talking about, photographic materials. That's why I put that internet addendum in place on top of it, because that is going to go ahead and give me the ability to go ahead and use those photos later. If you guys have your command website set up right now, if you go to KennedyHomesOfTheCarolinas.com, it will bring you right to our command website, and you can see the first picture that's on there is the backyard of that $2.2 million property, because I was like, yeah, we're putting this as number one, right? It's got the fire pit and the pool and everything. Looks super sexy. All right. Super sexy. Yes. Dual agency designation, just like on the buyer form, okay? We are on page 10. You want to sign the top and the bottom, right? Seller authorizes the firm to act as a dual agent, hereby authorizes the firm to designate an individual as an agent. The middle one, we don't want initials on. The top and the bottom. I'll put a little, here, you got a pen? Put a little indicator next to the top and the bottom. Or you don't have one. Lindsay will do it. All right, mediation. Mediation is section 18, page 11 of the listing agreement. This is probably the stupidest paragraph that exists in this entire contract, for the sole reason that it says that if you, the seller, want to sue the buyer or vice versa, you guys are going to go to mediation first. Anytime I've ever dealt with a lawsuit or an issue with real estate, nobody's ever gone to mediation first. So in the United States of good old America, we can go ahead and file, sue somebody for whatever reason. Sandy, I don't like the way you're smirking at me right now. I'm going to sue you for punitive damages. Okay, so I don't understand why that's in there. Terry will disagree with me and say it's very important that it's in there, and I'm sure it is. Wire fraud warning, section 19. This has been added in the last couple of years. Okay, you guys need to be really careful. I share with you what a wire fraud hacker did that affected the Ballantine office about 3 or 4 years ago. I'm Kennedy Law. Okay, so I'm PJ at Kennedy Law PLLC. Okay. And Amy, I'm sending you correspondence because this is where you're going to wire the funds to us because you're the buyer on the property, so far and so forth, okay? All right. Becca, she's a hacker, okay? She's not a good person. She's right back there, just so you know, okay? She wants to steal your money. So what she does is she notices these correspondence going back and forth. So she goes ahead and she makes up a dummy email that is PJ at Kennedy Law PLLC, and you don't see the third L in there. This actually happened, and somebody lost $45,000. A down payment went to a Cayman account. Okay, if you guys see account, or if you guys know the routing numbers for wiring accounts and it's a different country, stop right there first and foremost, okay? That should be a big red flag. There is no real estate firm that I've ever used that uses a outside of the United States, okay, company. They're gonna see the bank that it's being sent to. Bank of the Caymans is not a good place to send your money, okay? You would think that this is pretty self-explanatory. It is not. This is what I do, okay? I'm a little over the top. I think you guys know that already. The attorney that I use, doesn't matter who it is, okay? The attorney that I use, I have the buyer call the paralegal while they are at the bank wiring the money, and they walk them through it. And they told me out of their 85 plus real estate agents, I'm the only one that does that. And I go, so I'm the best. Thank you. Appreciate that. I never want to be on the other end of that phone call. Amy, you just lost $45,000. Sorry. No, I do not want that conversation. All right. Last section, last page, signature page, section 20, entire agreement changes and termination. Okay. You're going to have a change to your contract. There's only been one contract I've done in the last 8 years that has not had an addendum of some sort. Okay. As Sherry and Terry will both chime in on which forms are used and how often are we using the wrong forms, Terry? A lot. Okay. Rob, we're under contract on this house, buddy. I love it. It's great. However, there's a crack in the ceiling. I want to get $2,000 in lieu of repairs. And you say, okay, we're not going to do repairs. We'll give you $2,000. Say, great. Just put it on the due diligence repair request, $2,000 in lieu of repairs. Before, what's that?
In the old days.
In the old days. Now, before Terry has a heart attack, right? That's not how this works. Okay? Due diligence repair request form is for repairs. So if I'm going to say I want $2,000 in lieu of repairs, let's say I want to take it in closing costs. Let's say I want to take it off the price of the house. He can't give me $2,000 at the closing table. That's called mortgage fraud. It's illegal. Okay? So how am I going to, I want $2,000 off the sale of the house. He agrees. What form am I going to use? Say it, Becca. I see you looking. Agreement to amend the contract. Okay? And one other thing, I'm going to give you a quick little caveat in there. Agreement to amend the contract also is going to change the date of the closing if you need to. Now, when we close a piece of property in the state of North Carolina, how many days do we have for an automatic extension as to no fault the buyer or the seller? How many days? 14 calendar days. 14 calendar days. Thank you. Okay. Now, okay, Nola, you and I are in a deal. Okay. And we're going to close on September 10th. And we're not getting our financing in. It's looking more like, it's probably going to be September 20th. So we can still use the automatic 14-day extension and be fine with the contract that we have in place. However, from a compliance point of view, Terry's probably going to tell me change the date, right, Terry? Sure. Okay. So now Enola is a very smart listing agent, and she is going to go ahead and change the date on the agreement to amend in contract. So she does that. So the new date is the 20th. Where does my automatic extension go to now? It goes another 14 days unless, say it, Becca.
Let's check box.
There's a box underneath there that only gives a 4-day extension after that.
So is that time of the essence, or is that time of the essence the exact day?
Well, hold on a second.
Sorry.
Every North Carolina former addendum says close on or before that day. So if you want to close it early, you can go ahead and close it early by all means. Yet this is the thing. She's protecting her seller from being trapped into another 2-week because, well, PJ, what's going on with the finance? Oh, Enola, it's fine. She's going to take me at my word. I'm like, listen, you move your Cayman account over here, right? Because I'm one of those shady real estate agents. Okay. So she wants to best protect her seller. From the buyer's side, I don't want that box checked because I want to give them an extra 14 days if we need it. Yet she's going to do the fiduciary duty and responsibility that she got in her working with real estate agents when she signed with the client on the exclusive buyer agency agreement, exclusive listing agreement, because she's the seller. As a result, I'm going to keep that window as tight as possible for my seller because I can always add a couple days. I can always do another agreement to amend and move it and check the box again and do another 4 days instead of being stuck into another 14. Okay? What's that, Logan?
Oh, nothing. I was just listening. It sounds good.
Thanks, buddy.
One thing on the, if you don't
Oh.
do the extension, as you already said, it's calendar days. So you need to look at your calendar. If the closing, the 14 days is on a Saturday or Sunday, you're not gonna have an attorney close it. So you just, your contract just fell apart. So
Yeah.
You gotta actually look and be proactive.
And don't forget about holidays.
Bank closings.
Okay. Residential property disclosure. Okay. Better known as a RPD for short. Okay. What are you allowed to fill in on this form for your client? The address. That's all you're allowed to fill in on this is the address. You do not check any boxes on this. I will disassociate ever knowing you, training you, or talking to you about real estate, period. Okay. Now, what do we see? Sandy and Kelly is gone, but I know you guys do investment properties. I do investment properties. Can we recommend what they're supposed to check in these boxes? The only thing that it says in this is, yes, I know there's a problem. No, I don't know there's a problem, or no representation. So if you have an investment property that you're not living in, are you going to know of some of these issues that are aware? So if you guys ever see, and I'm not going to recommend that to you, yet I'm going to have that conversation with you. If you guys are listing an investment property for somebody and it's checked, no representation all the way down the side, is probably an investment property. Just a heads up. Okay. State of North Carolina requires this for closing. Okay. Pass that guy around.
I have a question about that. What if you have a buyer's agent that comes back and challenges you, the agent, about what the seller listed and says that that's not fair, that they weren't more.
Any and all communication starts off with email to cover you. Okay. And I'm going to ask the seller about it. You know, I mean, listen, you can't stop somebody else from lying, right? And Sandy, we had a similar conversation to this the other day, right? If you know to be true, if it's a material fact, you have to share it. Plain and simple.
I had an agent try to say that I was the liar for them not checking what she wanted them to check. So.
Well, there's a lot of agents out there. They're not all of them are smart. So just FYI. This is exactly why here we've got Terry as our compliance and backup broker in charge. We've got a broker in charge. We've got a productivity coach. We have a team leader. We have an OP, all that have had years of experience in the real estate game, not to mention the senior members here on our ALC that have had experience, such as Becca, Sarver, Katrina, so on and so forth.
Just one more little plug on the
Please.
property disclosure. As an agent, if you have any interest in that property, you are not allowed to check no representation. So that would be a red flag. If the investor happens to have a real estate license,
Yes.
they cannot
Thank
check
you.
no representation. Your personal home, you cannot check no representation. You have to answer the question.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, so for your personal investments, thank you. Good point. MOG, okay? Mineral, oil, and gas rights. Again, you cannot tell them what to check on here. What we would like to see, or when I'm working with a buyer, what I want to see is there's no representation for the mineral gas being severed by a previous owner. Okay. If it says no, even better. Okay. Yet I'm, as a seller of a property, I'm not going to say what the guy before me did or didn't do that I might not know about. So it would be no representation. We want to say no, there has not been any severed mineral rights from the property. And then we want to say no, we do not intend to sever the mineral rights. And then the same thing with gas and oil all the way down. Okay. Again, the only thing you can put on this form is the address. All right. I don't want to get everybody up in arms, but there was a home builder. The reason we have this in the state of North Carolina, up in the Triad area, there was a home builder that decided on page 537, section 2, paragraph 3. I don't know. I'm just making that up. It said that the homeowners did not retain the oil, gas, mineral rights to the property. Have you guys ever heard of fracking? Okay. So in the Triad area, there is a lot of fracking. And if you guys know Bill Gallagher, he's been speaking about this for about 4 or 5 years now, because there was about 2,200 homes that were all purchased from a builder and didn't realize the area that was designated to be a green space, where they went and brought a natural gas dike in to pull out all of the natural gas that was below the area there. And they realized that they did not actually have the gas, oil, and mineral rights. As a result, form has been around maybe 4 years, Terry?
2015.
2015, thank you, 5 years, okay? So that came into play, and so thanks to this lovely home builder, we have to have all those signed with every single deal.
Do you get sinkholes like they did in Texas?
All right, showing instruction form. You guys are familiar with this? Yes, no, okay. This is what you guys need to carry with you. You put all of your information in here, and then whoever the homeowner is, or who's going to be selling, who's going to be okaying the showings on the property. Okay. A lot of times, what I'm going to recommend here in a husband-wife situation, Sandy and I are married. I work like a dog every day. I don't even check my phone. I haven't picked up my phone in 3 hours now. Okay. I don't know that I have 6 showings on the property, so I'm just going to be an FYI. I'm going to be person number 2. Sandy's going to be person number 1 as my wife. She's going to be confirming all of the showings on the property. In here is where you put recommended lead time of 2 hours, as I mentioned earlier. How do you want to confirm? Again, say just an FYI. I have that box automatically checked for the listing agent because I don't want to confirm the showings. Why would a listing agent ever confirm the showings?
Because the wife in that situation was also very, very busy, so.
Okay, possibility.
So busy, I don't live there. Yeah.
Maybe it's a specialized property. Well, I could just put a go and show on if they don't live there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe if your client is a diva and they don't want to deal with it, and they would like a personalized text message every time they want a showing.
You say diva. I say on a multi-million-dollar property, such as the one that I was talking about, the 2.2, a $3 million listing that I had when I first got into the business, I had to do all of the showings personally. So I had to confirm it. And my seller just got an FYI. And in that situation, I had to drop what I was doing, go to the property, because that big house, it took 45 minutes to turn on all the lights and Finding Nemo in the movie theater because that showed best. Okay, so this is your showing time form. This stuff that we're diving into right now, this is stuff that can be leveraged off on a transaction coordinator, okay? Does not require a license to fill these things up. All right, next is our Canopy MLS forms. First and foremost is the coming soon. We already talked about that. 21 days, you can get into coming soon. So we want to use that form. And then this, oops. 1, 2, 3. Okay, here we go. This 9-page document is all the information that somebody's going to need to fill out about their property. Okay? Agents do this differently. Some of them take it to the seller. They sit there with them for 45 minutes and go through and fill all of this out. I don't have that much time. We'll send this to the seller ahead of time so that they have this. We ask them to fill it in, or even better yet, what we'll do is we'll go and fill in the street number, the county, the PID, property identification number, which they're probably not going to know. We'll go ahead and fill all that stuff in that we can to the best of our ability. Guys, make sure this gets done, because you're going to be sitting there one day with one of these that you're not going to have checked over, and then you're going to get to the water heater question and say, is it gas or electric? I have no idea. So guys, then you're causing more work for yourself. New form. Terry's going to love me for this one. Septic or sewer agent disclosure, right? This is something new that we've just put into place. This is not required, right, Terry?
It is required.
Oh, it is required. Excuse me. It is required. Look at that. We were ahead of the curve. We put it into place anyways.
And can we add a word to that just in the class?
Please.
Water, septic, and sewer. It's not just for septic. It also pertains to like water system, city county system, city county sewer, private sewer, private well, etc.
I saw another one of these today from the university office that I'm going to get a copy and shoot over to you to see if we want to make some changes to what they did, because it makes it a little simpler, in my opinion. Okay. Last but not least, not required. I know this one's not required. Utility sheet. Okay. This is something that I want, and this is something, again, I'll send over ahead of time. This has electric company, water company, natural gas, propane, fuel, oil, cable, trash services. And what is the approximate monthly bill for that? So you have the seller fill out all that information so they can pass that over to the buyers. Now, when you've got a listing and a buyer comes in and they have all of this information ready to go, say, oh, I've got all this information. That's awesome, right? Provide them with more service. It's going to be more, make your property more attractive. Make sense? Okay, now on the buy side, when you run into this problem and somebody says, well, they don't have any of that utility information for us, what do we do? Did we partner with a company earlier this year called Move Guru? What's Move Guru, Shannon?
It gets all your information and hooks up all your utilities for you and keeps the contact.
You send one email from Move Guru to the buyer. They start sending them coupons from the under contract date until closing. They get on the phone with them and hook up all of their utilities for you. So, because they're going to be calling you. If not, they do all of that. And then they put them on a quarterly drip campaign for the next 8 years with coupons coming from you as the agent. Oh, guess what? It's super expensive, by the way. It's free. The coupon companies pay for their service and everything that they do. We partnered with them a few months back. We're already using them. Guys, make sure if you don't know how to use Move Guru, they're already logged into Command for us. They're up and running. I'll tell you, it will take more things off your plate. If you guys haven't learned anything about me to this point, I'm all about leverage. The new transaction coordinator that we're going to put in place that's going to go ahead and take all the administrative stuff off of your plates for you. It's about leveraging you guys so you can focus on your 20%. As far as I'm concerned, a real estate agent should be doing few things. That would be lead generating for business. That would be meeting with clients, showing homes, writing contracts, and renegotiating contracts, and showing up at closings with a present, okay? That's it. Everything else can be leveraged off on someone else. We're going to, over the course of the next year, and so we're going to provide you guys with all those leverage tools. All right. Questions, comments, concerns? I apologize, guys, because we are over on this, yet I think it was important to go through all of it. What do you guys got for me? Good class? Ahas?
Oh, yeah.
What'd you learn?
Give
me some ahas, guys.
Actually, I didn't know that you could print out that MLS like preview sheet and have the seller fill it out. I just go like dig around and find it all myself and drive myself nuts.
How many hours does that take you?
At least one. At least a full hour.
At least an hour?
Yeah.
So, and how many listings did you take last year?
20.
Okay, you're welcome, because I just gave you a full day back. What else? What other ahas you guys got?
That Jenna's awesome.
Jenna is awesome. She may not think I'm awesome after today, but Jenna is awesome.
So in the compensation agreement, I'm going to do one of those because of this class, but tell me if this is a bad or good tactic. I've already got it under contract at this point. I didn't want to belabor the contract because it was already contingent and it wasn't that attractive of an offer to begin with. So it's 2.5% in MLS, but the agency agreement is 3% with the buyer. I'm sending a compensation agreement to the listing agent now signed by me and the buyer, but it's after we're under contract and it's not subject to the contract, so it doesn't belabor it more. Bad or good tactic?
I mean, it's not going to hurt to ask for it, but I'd tell you to take a hike.
I'd probably tell myself to take a hike too, but it doesn't threaten the contract at this point is what I'm saying.
Hey, there's people who can't fill out an MLS form. You might get lucky. All right, give me one more aha, guys. One more and we'll go.
I just have a you mentioned that you call the neighbors when you're prospecting around an open house or a listing, that sort of thing.
Yes, sir.
Circle prospects. Yeah, where do you source their phone numbers, and what's your success rate on those?
So I use Cole Realty Resource. That's the system that our team uses. I'm sure you can find it through, there's, what is it called? Fast People Search. If you guys Google, I may be saying that wrong, Google Fast People Search. and you can get with their phone number. You can get basically all of their pedigree information. There's a way to do it so you can type in the address and do that as well.
I've done that through, I think it's called True People Search. I used to do that a lot when I worked as an assistant, had to pull all those.
When you were a spy, Liana?
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, check. So True People Search, Fast People Search. Again, Scott, with Cole, basically you just type in the neighborhood and it already has it. Cole is really scary because it'll tell you like how many children they have, the ages of the children and the schools they go to, which, yeah, it creeps out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Because you really just need to pay for the service. You don't even need to be a licensed real estate agent. So
yeah, we had a subscription to Cole, and we had that before. Our issue was that the like neighborhood search and closest X to the proximity, it was just stale data. So and a lot of wrong numbers.
Yeah, it's not all like 100% accurate, up to date either, but it's just like any other system that we're using. You know, you got some good and some bad in there. That's what we've used. And really to answer the second part of your question, what kind of a success rate do we see from it? I think it's a combination of that mixed with the door knocking, that they see us in their face time and time and time again. And then we get, but if I get one extra deal out of it in a neighborhood, then I'm winning all day long. And I think the most listings I've gotten at a 94 townhouse community in Ballantyne, and I did 6 listings in there in 14 months just from doing this method.
So I just did this True People Search thing on myself. It doesn't have any of my right phone numbers, but it managed to get all of my family right. It managed to get some of my old email addresses, every address I've ever lived at. It even managed to get one of my renters at this address upstairs.
Okay, so that's true. Try Fast People Search. Scott, what were you going to say?
Just thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you so much, PJ. That was a really good class.
No, my pleasure, Liana. And we're gonna add in a offer to purchase and contract class next month. We're gonna run the buyer consultation class, the profit share class, and the listing class again next month. If anybody has a desire to want to teach one of these, feel free, and let's sit down and have a conversation. But again, guys, if you got something that is kind of bugging you or whatever, you want to work on a class or talk about a class. I know recently we've talked about, the dock permits. I don't know a whole lot about that, but I do know like Nadine Wynn, Matt Sarver, Christy Walker, Terry Rogers, they all know a lot more about that. If you guys want to do a class on that, you guys just got to tell me what you want. Cool.
Thank you so much, PJ.
My pleasure, Kara. All right, guys. Make it a great day. Thank you.